Welcome to the Brain Worm podcast, the podcast where we discuss the web serial Worm by J.C. McRae, also known on the internet as Wildable, and at the end of each episode, you get to decide who was the brain and who was the worm. We're currently on episode 3. I swear there have not been any other ones that will be released later. We're talking about Arc 3, but before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Amy Worrell, I'm a writer. I also publish a web serial, which you can find at thedeathless.net, or at the Deathless on Blue Sky, or just the Deathless on Royal Road. And recently, I think like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I'm not even sure, I got over 1,000 views, like all time 1,000 views. And since then, it has gotten another like 200 views, and I'm not sure if those are people. It could just be some bots scraping it, some AI shit happening to my work real time. I'm sad. Anyway, let me introduce the usual suspect. I was
I was waiting for the fucking.
Yeah, I was waiting for Komugi to chime in because they said they had something to say.
Oh, did you want me to chime in about the AI part?
Yeah,
I think that the fan art might be the reason why. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
No,
I think the fan art might be the reason why
Okay,
you got more views, because there's been so much fan art.
There has been some fan art. In fact, editing, splash, it's on your screen right now. Oh shit, there's another one there. You see if there's any more, I'll post it there.
Fuck! The fan art, it poked me in the rib. Oh, there it is.
Of course, I'll ask everyone if I can share it. There might be more. You don't know. I've been promised more, and I'm humbly awaiting for it. Anyway, Yakuman, do your thing, please.
YAKUMAN. He's a guy. He's a fucking thing that exists. He makes podcasts. They're not good. Actually, they're really good. Actually, I first time reading Worm, and we're making podcasts about it. I'm also reading Monster Girl Encyclopedia, not for the first time. I'm making a podcast about that, and one of these days I'll have my own thing that I have written that you could all podcast about. But in the meantime, I'm stuck in the middle with you.
Stuck in the middle with you. Are you thinking of calling your thing, Yakuman, when you finally write it, Slug?
No.
Well, it was worth a try. I figured there'd be a built-in audience there.
Well, maybe you were thinking about it, but you have that idea now. It has been given to you on a silver plate.
The name will be Slug, and it will be short for long wild bow can slug my nuts.
Slugman.
Slug my nuts. Slug my nuts.
Well, this sounds fantastic. Now I'm even more excited. But I suppose I should probably introduce myself now, eh?
You should.
So, Komugi, that's my name. I also have a YouTube channel called That One Lucario Fan. I'm experiencing Worm, way darker than anything I've ever read before, but it's fun because I've got friends with me.
It's amazing how I always forget something, because this time I forgot to say I have read the series, but my co-hosts have not. So there's that. That is the dynamic here.
Oh my gosh, during Let's Talk Precure, which is the podcast I do with Yakuman, I always forget something in the intro. Yakuman started having a routine with me, like, don't forget to say this part.
Yeah, I understand why professional podcasts have like a one paragraph long thing that they read at the start of every episode the same way. There's probably a good reason for it.
Or they just keep it short, like 2 funny little bits. Like Biggest Problem. They have a rhyme, and they introduce the show, and that's it.
Yeah, we do need to go on a little longer because we're trying to sell our other stuff though. So
yeah,
I'm fine with the first couple of minutes just being whatever we come up with on the spot. Oh, if I sound a little different today, that's because I'm ill. My throat is really sore. I was going to say a little and really, and I said a real. It's sore. I'm ill. Yeah. I'm taking medicine. We should just start before it devolves into whatever it did last time.
Okay, yeah, let's start. 3.01 Agitation.
Time to take that, you worm.
We're about to take it, yeah. We're not sure who is the worm, though, yet. But someone's going to take it. I don't have a summary for this arc, we're just going to wing it. Where we left off from Arc 2, at the end of Arc 2, it was Taylor meeting the Undersiders, and then we got the interlude where it was hinted at a lot of struggles and conflicts that will happen now that there is a power vacuum in the docks, because Taylor has gotten rid, apparently, of Lung. And now we start this, I believe, in the following day, where Taylor just went back home and slept, or it's a couple days later. I'm not entirely sure about the timeline. But in chapter 3.1, it's mostly focused on Taylor going for her usual runs, which she does every day first thing in the morning, which proves to be a place where she can safely meet with other people without dragging her father's attention, because he already expects her to be out at that hour. So she meets with Brian, again, Guru, at the docks. They gave her a burner phone. In fact, I think a couple of burner phones. There's a lot of talk about, once again, the tourists in the avenue that leads to the docks. And this is a very short chapter where they're basically just catching up, talking about Rachel, saying how things might be dangerous once again. It very much feels like a continuation of the last interaction we got with them. And at the end of the chapter, Taylor goes to school. She's planning on taking a class, but she sees her bullies and once again gives up. She keeps like, it's not really an excuse because she has very good reasons to not want to go to school, but every time she doesn't go, she says that she'll do it different next time, yet she keeps skipping classes. And that's really all that happens in this chapter, aside from, of course, the very important detail that she makes a crab do a little dance. She can control crabs with her powers.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that like various crustaceans so she can control.
What about worms? Can she control worms?
No idea. Do worms even exist? If it turns out that worms actually don't exist within this universe, it will be the greatest plot twist I've ever read.
Oh, they have been
There are
mentioned.
worms, but they're only like Earthworm Jim. Those are the only kind of worms.
Oh hell yeah, Earthworm Jim's cool.
Well, she does say she can control earthworms, so she just forgot the name. Maybe she doesn't know Jim's name.
So if Earthworm Jim and Taylor Worm ever met, would she be able to control him with her mind?
Probably.
That would be the implication. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Someone better write a fanfic about that one.
This is beautiful synchronicity. We found a way to mention something from the previous recording when we were talking about worm fanfics.
Oh,
on that note,
yeah.
Does there exist a fanfic about the crab? Probably, right?
Probably.
Yeah, if only we had somebody here who could tell us about these fanfics and what is and is not.
Yeah, if such a person existed, they would probably say something along the lines of, "Oh, every fanfic has her controlling controlling like a crustacean at least once because it appears early in the story. That's all they do. They repeat everything that happens early on."
Yeah, if only we had a person like that to mention that.
Which is not what I am saying. It's what someone who knows about fanfic would say if they were criticizing a fanfic. To be clear. Not that has happened.
Yeah. Neither is there somebody that criticizes fanfiction, nor is there a person that has actually read a worm fanfic. No human being exists like that.
Just looking through the chapter to see if anything sparks to mind.
Every time I read this chapter, my eyes are always drawn to her description of herself, like before she started running, of I had the unfortunate combination of a slight bulge for a belly, small breasts, and broomstick-thin arms and legs. I don't know, that's disgusting, really, like, imagery. It is good. And then, it goes on to explain how, like, running is made of more lean and stuff, and it's a good... I don't know, she doesn't really, like, use, like, that sort of language, but in, like, a positive sense to describe her body now. But when talking about her body before she started running and exercising, she will just go into, like, this weird, gross, descriptions. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of like separation between who she was and who she is and who she wanted to be or who she wants to be currently. She frequently alludes to like physicality as being important to it and how she's not weak anymore. She has since gotten powers. She has described herself in a similar light, though in not such an exaggerated way, multiple times by this point. Maybe not multiple times, maybe like 3 times.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like she describes herself as having a bulge for a belly, which it's a good sort of flowing sentence, but it's gross. It is weird. It's a gross little description, but like she never describes her stomach as being like flat or anything, or having like a similar. She doesn't describe herself that positively, even if she does separate herself from what she used to be.
Yeah, she does say that she does find herself to be attractive, that like the only feminine trait she has is her long flowing hair. But she does describe herself in the past, as you just brought attention to, in a very negative light.
I think they get coffee in this.
They get
and it's like $15.
Coffee and donuts and croissant.
Oh, we also see that she doesn't use the money that she was given by the Undersiders. Was that their name?
The Undersiders, yes.
Yeah, okay, cool, good. I wasn't sure for a second there. Yeah, she hasn't used any of the money. She hasn't touched any of it.
Not only because she would feel like guilty because it's dirty money, but also because if she appears with something, she'd have to explain to her dad where the money comes from. So she's in this weird situation where she suddenly has a bunch of money to like go out and do whatever she wants, but on one end she can't do that without creating issues, but on the other end she doesn't want to, so the money is just sitting there.
That happens in a Diary of the Wimpy Kid book once. Moving on.
No, I was just about to say I have never read those books. I only watched the one movie.
Yeah, I liked it as a wee lad, those whole books. Now I don't think I could stand them.
Percy Jackson, you said?
No, Diary of the Wimpy Kid.
Oh, fuck, I don't know how I misheard that.
Actually, I did read, not Percy Jackson, but Heroes of Olympus as a kid, which is like a semi-sequel, take place in the same universe. Wasn't good, but it was like a cool thing.
I know how I fucked it up because I had a moment in my head thinking of how I wanted to mention that she makes reference to the sword of Damocles from Greek mythology. And I had like my brain so hyper focused on that. And so when you started talking about kids' books, I was like, oh, Greek mythology. I wasn't even hearing right. Oh my God.
I see.
That is tunnel vision.
Yeah, I did read the whole Percy Jackson saga, and I think 3.5 books, something like that, of the sequel. Never finished it. I definitely like the original Percy Jackson series a lot more.
Yeah, Heroes of Olympus isn't that great. Though there was a girl I liked in high school who was really into them and like gave me the books. That's why I started reading them in the first place.
There's always that one friend like that. I went to my first ever anime convention because a high school friend was like, just wanted to like go and like convince me to cosplay with her, and it was like, oh my gosh, just that friend made convention something that I thought would be cool when I previously was too shy.
I lent my second book of Percy Jackson to a friend, and I have never seen it since then. So my collection is missing book 2 has been missing book 2 for probably over a decade by this point, and I don't care enough to fill the gap.
Yeah, you see, I've sort of like, It was like because it was like a girl that I liked
Oof.
that gave me the books. Yeah, I made like a very vivid point of reading them all and then giving it back to her, and then like I made sort of like an internal rule of like, well, I'm always going to do this now. I'm always going to finish your thing very quickly and then give it back to you. And you know, it's been very many years since then, and I still do that with everyone's thing, and it's disgusting. I wish I could steal people's things. I wish I had stolen Amy's book. That would be cool. But you know, I'm a fucking loser, so that's never happening.
Yeah, it was really cool when you gave me back Percy Jackson.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get many opportunities of stealing my books. I'm sorry.
One of these days, I'm gonna steal a little copy of this fucking book from Amy. I vow, blood oath, locked in. I will do it. I will steal a book from Amy.
You know, there's a book you don't have to steal because it's available on the internet for free, chapter by chapter.
Animorphs?
Worm.
Oh.
I usually didn't know where Amy was going with this bit, so I thought the joke was that we weren't supposed to say worm.
But yeah, chapter 3.1, there isn't really much to say about it. Even though I don't have a summary, I don't think there is much here. Not saying it is a bad chapter, but there isn't really anything to break down. I do.
There is one thing I noticed, and I wanted to ask you all's opinion on it, but you go first, Amy, and then I'll say my thing.
Okay, because I'm going to say something really dumb. I just really like the line, I want, I said. Then I felt dumb for the awkward lapse into caveman speak.
Oh yeah. I remember that
Caveman
one.
speak.
That is good. That was a good one. Yeah. Oh, also another cool thing about this chapter. Sparky and Greg return. That's cool.
That's true.
That is true.
I hope to never see either of them again.
I hope Greg becomes a main character. He's literally me.
I like Greg. Yeah, I'm on side Yakuman with this. What are some of the side characters that you like the most that we've met so far, Amy?
Oh, side characters.
Anyone who's not an undersider and isn't named Taylor.
Okay.
Well, Danny's pretty up there.
Well, we haven't met many people, but Arms Master.
Oh yeah, Arms Master's good.
Cool.
He's cool.
Arms Master's character goes far. There's a lot there.
Yeah, you see, like I feel like this bond between certain characters. I'm more warmed up to certain characters. I feel like I've had like a good 3-hour discussion about them, and like now I'm really into them. But like that 3-hour discussion doesn't exist anywhere, so I can't like explain it. I can't explain why I now like Arms Master a whole lot. I just, you know, the feeling is just there, the fondness.
I did say.
I don't think I'm familiar with this conversation. Is this one of the movie nights that this conversation happened?
No.
No, I think he just hallucinated all of it.
Yeah, probably.
I did say at the end of Arc 1 that you had met my favorite character. It's Arms Master. Arms Master is my favorite Worm character, like for the whole series.
Oh, nice. I'm glad he sticks around for the whole thing. Hopefully.
We'll see about that. Komugi, what did you want to say?
Oh, about what I was going to say? Should I
Yeah.
go into that? Oh, absolutely. So in this chapter, essentially, we have this one scene. I'm just going to read it verbatim because I don't want to like summarize it in a way that's not quite accurate. So it's when she's making the crab dance. So she's like doing that, and he's really curious about it. And the exact words are, Brian saw the crab dancing in circles and figure eights and smiled. Conspiratorially, he leaned closer to me and whispered, "You can control crabs too?" What do they mean by conspiratorially? Does he think that like her power is like a conspiracy? I didn't get that part. Conspiratorially,
No.
he leaned closer.
Conspiratorially, as in they're doing this out in the open and they have to talk about it without anyone noticing what they are doing.
Yeah, like it's just like another way of saying like leaning close and like whispering and stuff, you know, like that sort of.
I get it. So it's like saying huddled close, which is used a sentence later. Like it doesn't mean anything about the emotion of conspiracy or the baggage associated with conspiracy. It just means it has the image of being a conspiracy, like huddle.
Yeah.
Though Taylor does control the crab people, which does make her above the Illuminati, I believe.
Absolutely.
I wonder if there's a fanfic about that.
Oh my fucking goodness! Can you imagine if do you know Jesse Ventura? Imagine if he met Taylor.
I know Ace Ventura.
Oh, you don't know Jesse Ventura?
Jesse Ventura?
Okay, he's a guy on TV who had a show called Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura, and every episode starts off, and he was like a former like military guy or something. I don't actually remember his background. And he's like, "I'm Jesse Ventura. I've been on the inside and the outside of the government military conspiracy." And there's a whole episode where he like believes that the JFK assassination was staged, and the real guy who like staged it like drove his car to his house. It's just crazy. Always episodes are about that kind of thing, but he's so iconic. If Jesse Ventura met Taylor, he would like write an entire episode of his show about how she like secretly can predict like crime that's going to happen in the future, but it would have nothing to do with her powers. He would
And
just
then
think
and,
that like she's magic or something.
and then Ace Ventura is like really concerned about the animal rights aspect of it. Of like, I'm not sure if like Taylor's doing this like ethically, like controlling all these bugs and animals, and like tries to arrest her, and then it becomes like a battle between like the two Venturas versus Worm Taylor.
I love how I mentioned a real man named Jesse Ventura who like could exist in this universe, but now there's a fictional Ace Ventura. Is it
Oh
still?
yeah,
Does he still look like Jim Carrey?
yes. Well,
Great.
oh no, Ace Ventura is real. He is a real guy.
Of course,
He's real in my heart.
of course, of course.
Komugi, have you
But
seen
yeah,
Ace Ventura? I feel like you would
no, I mean,
like Ace Ventura.
I probably would because it's about him like trying to save animals, right?
Yeah, he's like an animal pet detective. Yeah, though there is
Yeah.
there's like one scene towards the end, but yeah, you'll get to that scene whenever, and like
Oh, I've had it
you'll get
spoiled
over
for
it.
me because Lindsay Ellis had a like essay. It was called like trans representation in media, and the thumbnail is like a trans person like crying, and it says it's a lot. And she brings up
Oh yeah,
the Ace Ventura scene as like the big whammo moment of the video,
oh
which I'm
yeah,
sorry is a little bit
yeah.
funny because it's obviously like a comedy scene from like a silly comedy movie. So like to play that scene on screen and be like, yeah, it's just things were bad for a time. It's like just to use a comedy movie for a dramatic scene in a video essay. That always gave me a chuckle.
Though the second Ace Ventura movie does not feature any making fun of trans people.
That's good to know. I'm still interested for sure. Yeah. I always thought
Mm.
that that Lindsay Ellis was a genius like content creator, so I do like believe in what she says, but I also wasn't like turned away from that movie just because she like included it in that video. Like I still am interested in it. So it's good to know that you recommend it. But anyway, to bring things back to thoughts on the chapter, I just think it's interesting that I learned a new way of how the word conspiratorially is used because I never thought of the idea that like a word like that could be used just to describe visually what's going on. I always assume things like literally, like if they say conspiratorial, it's about a conspiracy. But now I realize it's just about giving the visual appearance of a conspiracy, which is really interesting. I learned something.
Oh, they are also conspiring in the sense that they are two superpowered people out in the open using their powers and keeping it a secret.
And
So it
villains.
is a conspiracy. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
you have probably been like too influenced by conspiracy theories, so you probably think about the word conspiracy as something that has to be big and encompassing, but that's not really what the word means.
I get what you mean because there's a oh my gosh, I'm bringing this so off topic, but I promise we can go back on topic as soon as I say this. There's a SpongeBob episode where it's like college conspiracy theory or something like that, and SpongeBob and Patrick are like, "We got to take down Mr. Krabs. He's doing something." They got like tricked by Squidward to believe in a fake conspiracy. So I always knew that like it doesn't always mean political stuff because that episode was just about the idea that like Krabs was secretly not what he says, and that's the only conspiracy of it.
Are we talking about the episode where Mr. Crab? They think Mr. Krabs is a robot.
I think that is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I probably got them
Yeah,
blended together in my brain.
yeah. And then there is like a Mr. Krabs robot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could Taylor control Mr. Krabs?
Taylor could defeat the entire SpongeBob multiverse by herself.
No, not SpongeBob though. SpongeBob is a sponge.
Yeah.
Those sponges have brains.
Yes, he does. There's an
He
episode where Plankton
does.
can control his brain. Yeah.
She
Legendary.
can probably control him.
No, because SpongeBob's not a fucking bug or a
Well,
crustacean.
Well,
Famously, in this episode, Taylor theorizes, I think the exact quote was, "As long as they have
yes.
a small brain, I can probably control it." So I think Taylor is
Oh,
theorizing that she can control anything with a small brain. But
hmm.
if that's the case, then can she control T-Rexes? They have small brains.
Can
I
she
mean,
control Ellen Horai? I love you, Ellen.
well,
Messin' with Ellen.
it
Sponsored by Jackass. Messin' with Ellen.
it it
Jackass presents.
it could also be like about how I think she says depends on how simple their brain is. So both brain volume and also complexity.
Okay.
What I read this as saying is like just a scene where the author is establishing a limitation of the power, so anything more complex than a crab is beyond her grasp. She can
Okay.
control crabs and below.
Okay, so it's gonna be a pretty, because of this specified power, it's gonna be a very tight matchup. But in terms of Worm Taylor versus the SpongeBob universe, could she beat? Ah, fuck. What's his fuck? The fucking guy from the SpongeBob movie. Not the pirate.
Oh shit! The guy,
Fucking
the dirty guy, the one with the big foot who tries to stomp on him.
no. Fucking the fucking they like surf. SpongeBob and Patrick surf on his
David
ass.
Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff. There we go. Could Worm
Mhm.
Taylor beat David Hasselhoff?
Uh, I mean that is just a guy, isn't it? Isn't he like just a
Yeah,
man?
but his brain is
He
like
has superhero
yeah.
pecs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a guy with killer pecs.
Yeah.
Well,
And he helps out SpongeBob and Patrick.
well,
in the SpongeBob movie.
that's where Taylor would go. Oh, I need a weapon, which also happens in this arc, and she gets weapons.
That's true. What weapons does she get? Because we know she has like a fucking pepper spray. I mean, something else.
She gets a baton and a dagger.
Nice. That's in part 2, though. That's chapter 2. Chapter 2. 3-2, I think.
Yes, and we are in 3.1, so we can move into 3.2.
Yeah,
Sounds
we can do
good.
that.
So, in chapter 3.2, both in chapter 3.1 and 3.2, there are some things that I think are more interesting. We talk about when we get to the arms master scene. For example, Komugi talked about the reference to the sword of Damocles, or Damocles. I'm not sure how you say that.
Damocles.
Damocles.
Yeah, Damocles.
Sword of Damocles. That sounds wrong to me. But I'm going to say it the way you said. I'm going to trust you. I hope you are correct.
I mean, if it's Damocles, that'd be good, because, it's like Arm Master and Damocles. It's good. I would like that.
Yeah, but there is that reference, and here there's also Taylor going through some anxiety when talking specifically with Lisa. We can bring this topic up later to discuss it. As we start on 3.2, there is basically she's going back to the Undersider's place, and she's thinking about the way there. And as was hinted at in the past interlude 2, there is this idea of how capes could essentially be a superpowered police. And here where she's going, she's walking through a street that is relatively close, I think, to the PRT headquarters, something like that. Or she just says that if anything was to happen here, like this tourism avenue is too important, so the government is going to send a hero in really fast. In fact, all the shop owners probably can contact them directly. So it's once again, as it has done multiple times already, looking at it as how would these people actually be worked into society, and doing so in I'd say a pessimistic way, because it is saying that like should this be the case, because while she's walking through a tourist avenue thinking about how if anything bad happens here the heroes are going to be there really fast, but she continues walking, goes into the poor part of the city, and there are no heroes there. I don't think she makes the connection, but we are walking literally from one spot to the other, so I think that is very much intentional.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing really to add to that. But like, yeah, I do see what you mean. I do agree with it.
So she gets to the Undersider's place again, and the rest of the chapter is essentially a big interaction, mainly with Brian, who, when she gets there, Brian's training Alec. They're fist fighting. Brian's trying to teach Alec how to defend himself, but he doesn't want to. He just wants to use his taser. So Alec gives up after he gets pummeled. He complains about how, even though Brian isn't taking Alec seriously, he's still beating him up, so he gives up. And for the rest of the chapter, it's Taylor and Brian just having a sparring match, though not really a sparring match. It's more like Brian's lecturing her. And something I
Yeah.
just realized, actually, which might also be intentional, is that she was thinking about how if any super villain does something bad here, to the shops, they're going to call the heroes. And then we immediately follow villains like teaching each other how to be violent, basically. So it's like, yeah, they are going to call the heroes on you because you're on this side. This is what you're doing. You are, in fact, going to be one of the people attacking these places, as we see later on in this arc.
Yeah, this is all sort of building up to like the multi-chapter, thing, which we'll get to. I had like I don't have like many notes written down, and like the notes that I do have, I kind of forgotten the reason why I'd written them down because like it's been so long since the last episode. Like, and I wrote in this episode specifically, yeah, it's something about the way Wildbow writes from the perspective of a teenage girl makes me think he's trans. Now, I don't know what specifically made me think that. I don't know if it's even, I mean, maybe, but also, yeah, I don't know, fucking, like, maybe it's just the way he like writes about Taylor, and like maybe he's just the way like Taylor sort of writes about Brian and like Alec. I don't know. And there's a sort of, yeah, and like Lisa as well. I don't know. There's something like I feel like a woman could have written this. There's like slightly gendered, writing styles. I feel.
Yeah, since this is a more loose conversation, I guess we can also bring this up because although like Taylor is canonically written as like a cisgender heterosexual woman, a big part of this community produces like Yuri fan art and Yuri fanfics, mostly with Taylor, with a lot of characters. And there is, I have not seen this, but I am aware of the fact that there is a lot of discussion about whether or not Taylor in fact is like cisgender heterosexual. There is a lot to be read there. And I think I'm like on this reread, I'm starting to see this, especially because this arc ends in a very gay way. As they flee the bank robbery later on, there is like a comment about how like they pretend as if they're just normal people out in the streets. So it's Taylor and Lisa walking their dog, and she doesn't say like two friends. She says two girls walking their dog. She specifically phrased it that way, and so I went, "Oh yeah, I get why people read like queer themes into her. I think there is some of it there."
I mean, how much does she age throughout this story? I mean, that was like a huge spoiler. Like, how much? Yeah.
Like about 2 years, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, there was like there's people that take them longer to figure that sort of stuff out. Yeah. I don't know. I'm feeling like from like the perspective of like the person writing this probably isn't cis hetero, or is just very very in tune with like, or like specifically reads a lot of women fiction. That could also be the case.
The thing is, as well, we exist in like a world where so much media that like appeals to women or like doesn't necessarily seem like targeted to men specifically is like being released in kind of like all kinds of demographics. I don't want to go down the anime rabbit hole, but that's a really good one to point to. That there's like a bunch of anime that appeal to women and feel like shojo, even though they're shonen. And I feel like it's possible that this writer maybe grew up in spaces like Tumblr and stuff like that, where there was a lot of stuff that appealed to women on there, even if it wasn't necessarily women media. Like there's just a bunch of examples I could go on to. Like there's a bunch of stuff on Tumblr that's like women core now, even though it was like, a Nintendo game called Pikmin or something, but like it has a mostly female audience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah. This is
actually don't know if Wildbow has said anything about this in the past. I've only seen one interview with him, so I'm not sure if he has shared any of these or like any specific place where this might come from, like maybe growing
Yeah.
up in a house with a lot of women or something like that.
or like having like a even like just like general influences and stuff. Do you think Wildbow is like a Yuri fan in general, or do you think it is just like something that coincidentally happened?
I don't think it is. I wouldn't necessarily say he's like a Yuri fan, but it seems to be at the very least like accepting of queer people because there is going to be more of it later.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually, and I'm thinking about like anime and manga and stuff. There's like quite a lot of mangaka who are like really into like just writing about women. Like it's like the Black Lagoon author or like Kakaguri, where they always make sure that like the males are like second place and like it'll always just be like the women are the ones that are going to be like taking control of the story, but like also is because making them the most powerful women and stuff, like the women that they're into, it also means that like these women in these manga are like inflappable and nothing ever really like bad happens to them. And that's like sort of my problem. Like yeah, like every Kakaguri girl is like hot and cool, but none of them, because he very specifically like states in an interview, is like, well, I only want to write about women, but I don't want them ever to get hurt. So there's never any like consequences or comeuppance for anything that happens. Meanwhile, I think Wildbow does seem to like writing about women, cool, powerful women, hot women, but he isn't afraid to give them consequences or like have bad things happen to them, get hurt, get injured, lose something. And I think I resonate with the story a little bit more than I do with Kakaguri.
Yeah, even if you look
Very
at,
good conclusion. I see what you mean. Yeah.
I agree. Even if you look at other Wild Boy stories, like he does have like male main characters, but I think there are more women main characters in his stories. In fact, the biggest story he has written so far is Pale, and the three protagonists are like three kids. They're like 13 or 14 or something like that. They're all girls. And one of them is like on the first chapter said she'll be explicitly lesbian.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't want to make it like any claims because I don't know to which point Wildbow has discussed his personal life, but the theme is definitely there, whether intentional or not.
And I'm glad my stupid little note that I have no idea what A was even my intention of it was. I'm glad we managed to have like an actual good discussion with it. Good job, past YAKUMAN.
Good job. I will make this a rule. I will have summaries for every chapter, every episode going on. I'm not going to repeat this mistake again. So that is going to help as well.
Yeah, just like as you go along. And I'm probably going to try and write a little bit more notes. Specifically like towards like the last half of this where I was like really trying to read all of it in like one sitting so I could record for it. So I just have like nothing written down for it.
Yeah, I did the same. I read this like in the like last 30 hours before we were set to record. Not that actually happened.
Yeah, no, I mean like it was like the second I was done, we supposedly may or may not have, maybe sort of, not have, but could have, but maybe in Twilight Zone have recorded an episode.
An attempt might have happened.
All right, this is pretty much all I've got to say about 302. I think 303 is where the one where she actually does get a dagger and a baton. This one is just her hanging about, training.
I think it's 3.4.
Okay.
Cause-
And what happens in 3.3?
Oh,
I don't remember.
3.2 ends with Lisa having talked to their boss saying, we're going to rob a bank. Then 3.3 is then discussing
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and is this the one where good old Arms Master? No.
No, I think
Oh,
that's 3.6 or 3.5.
Okay. So now it's just, bank robbing talking. Cool.
Yeah, and it starts by Brian immediately going against it, saying it's a really bad idea. Like robbing a bank is an escalation. It's going to bring too much attention. And Tattletale starts talking about how much money they're going to make with it, and also all the ways that they can ensure that it's not going to be that hard for them. Mainly because the bank they want to rob, they don't have, it doesn't have to be this one bank, but the one they want to rob is like too important and close enough to where the wards are. So they decide to do this in a day where most of the PRT is going to be occupied with something else, which, if I remember correctly, is information that their leader, their boss, gave them, plus Tattletale is using her power to fill in the gaps. So they're basically looking for the best opportunities to attack this bank, when knowing that they are going to have to fight their way out, but in a day where the fight is going to be as easy to them as possible. This is what ultimately convinces Brian that, okay, yeah, we are in fact robbing a bank then.
Yeah, it does start off with him saying there's like robbing a bank doesn't get you millions like in the movies. Banks don't keep that amount of loose cash on hand, which is true. Though in most of the movies I have seen, it is very specifically like a day in which they are transferring a large quantity of money, and like that's when they rob. It's only in like, I don't know, like Lupin the Third, where like they have like millions.
Yeah, and in here they don't want to.
That's very true.
And in here they don't.
In real life, oh sorry.
No, I was just going to say that in here they don't want to rob it when they're going to transfer a lot of money, because there are going to be heroes going on with those cards. So they specifically want a day where the heroes are out, and however much money they make, their boss is going to give them like 3 times more. So that's why they're going to make so much money. Their boss just wants a bank to be robbed.
And I imagine that boss right now. The image I have is of I think Giovanni from Pokemon, like the Team Rocket's boss, with the evolved Meowth. Yeah, that's what I imagine the boss is. You can tell me that I'm right. I'm okay with spoilers.
I honestly don't even remember the design of that character. I only remember the mouth.
Wait, you don't remember Giovanni, you said?
I don't. I really don't.
That's fascinating. Oh, he kind of looks like the big bad from the Game Boy Advance one, Pokemon Ruby. The big bad who's like the bald guy. Kind of looks like that kind of. I think that might have been an inspiration taken from Giovanni, because they both look really similar. And he had a Persian, I think it was. Was that what it was, Yakuman? He had a cat of his own he really loved.
Yeah.
Which is funny
Yeah,
because Meowth always wanted to be that cat. He's like, oh, I want to be
Yeah.
Giovanni's cat.
Yeah, it evolves from a Meowth, I believe. Which I know that.
Oh, that's genius. So Meowth wanted to get stronger and evolve so he could be Giovanni's Persian. That's smart. Pokemon was
Yeah.
smart. If only Worm was that smart. No, I'm kidding.
No,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Worm is a prequel to Pokemon because Taylor does the same thing that every Pokemon trainer does, which is control creatures with simple brains. So her boss is in fact like just literally Giovanni from Pokemon, like just that character. And then by the end of the story, everyone dies and Pokemon starts.
How simple are the brains of Pokemon, though, if they can learn to talk, like learn to speak our language, and they can express feelings of disappointment when their fellow Pokemon doesn't die? Shout out to that one scene where Pikachu's like, dang it, in response to Meowth not getting killed. That's like the best scene ever. Anyone know what I'm talking about? It's like Meowth almost drowns, and then it cuts
No.
to Pikachu, and he's like, dang it. Good shit. They're pretty vindictive, them Pokemon. I think they might have some twisted minds.
The answer to the question of how complex are Pokemon's brains is depends on how much I bash their head in.
Oh, fucking.
I can get them pretty simple.
Is like a Slowpoke. I think they're supposed to be like, and it's only when they become they evolve into fucking Sloth King or whatever. Slow King, yeah. That's when he becomes like a master of the psychics. Yeah. Yeah, I fucking love Slow King so goddamn much.
Slow King would never be controlled by Taylor. He would control
No.
Taylor.
Yeah, though, yeah. Yeah, though, fuck, yeah. Pokemon.
Worm.
Yeah. I did like that little tangent. That was very good. And you found a way to tie it back in, Amy. So I believe we were wrapping up 303. Did anyone else have anything to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, but
there's something about 303 that I never managed to figure this out. And I don't even think it matters. I just find it curious that the first time we meet the Undersiders, it's Lung's planning to attack the Undersiders. So Taylor goes there, doesn't know who they are, attacks Lung. Then the Undersiders come, and Brian says that, Lisa figured out with her power that Lung was going to attack us, and so we decided to bring the fight to him. But here, the attitude that Brian has, who is the leader of the group, is very much, we don't take many risks. There's no reason for us to do this. Why would we do this? And so I'm just left wondering, like, why would they then, knowing that this is the attitude of the leader, why would they at the time have decided to bring the fight to Lung? Like, how would the strategy benefit then?
I'm guessing probably the boss probably put like a bounty on Lung's head. It was just like, I will incentivize you to take out, because Lung wants to kill you. So if you're gonna fucking just run and hide, I'll give you money if you just kick his ass, because I don't want this guy around.
That I can say no, that's not what happened.
And then they gave a portion of the money to Taylor. And it all ties around.
I think
to my fanfic.
Maybe it is just about his power. Like, he's going to keep getting stronger the longer he has his power going on. So it's better that we just go to him there before he can stack his power. Otherwise, he's going to keep using his power on the way to us. And by the time he gets here, he's going to be too powerful. Maybe it's something like that. But I don't remember if Lung can use his power that way, or if it like has to be in a threatening situation.
If you just go into Lung's room at night like the Tooth Fairy and just kick the shit out of him, is that like his weakness? Would he wake up and activate?
He would, but at the time you're already on top of him. You're already pummeling him. There's like the two disadvantages of his power. That he's weak at the start.
They're so cute.
And if the fight goes on for too long, then like by the time he could get into the fight, maybe it's already doomed. Maybe it is just about his power, because I can't think of any like character dynamic that would lead to that.
Yeah, because like I don't think Alec or Lisa would really. It's only Bitch that would want to fight.
Yeah.
Long. And they're not going to listen to Bitch.
Interesting. I agree. I don't have anything to add on, essentially, but I agree.
Okay, so that's 3.3.
So one of the reasons originally that YAKUMAN was like excited to have me on this podcast, and I also think you, Amy, thought this as well, was that people were wondering like how I would feel about how dark this series is based on in comparison to the media that I usually experience. And then secondly, how I would feel about how it portrays animal characters. And I think what I'm waiting for is that I still haven't seen enough with Bitch. It feels so weird calling her that, but with how she has her dogs, because if this is a story where like she like cares about the dogs and she doesn't like get them like hurt like without good cause, like they're not hurt unless it's in a genuine like life or death fight scenario, then I think I'll feel positive about like the animal representation in the series. I'm just waiting to see if like there's a scene in Worm, and knock on wood, literally going to knock on wood in real life that this doesn't happen. That's a conspiratorial thing. I don't know if that exists in the UK. Do they say knock
It
on wood
does.
over there too?
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
Knock on wood that this doesn't happen, but just saying hypothetically, if there's like a scenario where like I don't know, she, like, uses the dogs to, like, fuck with someone for selfish personal gain, and one of the dogs, like, gets its eye slit or something like that, like, something really disturbing, then I would potentially be like, "Okay, I don't know how positive I feel about the animal characters," but as long as something like that doesn't happen, like, there isn't a scene of, like, animal abuse for purely selfish reasons, then I think I'll still feel positive about the story. I'm just waiting to see how that plays out because there's, like, so much potential for dark things that could happen, and I'm just waiting to see like how the story develops and if they will, which is why I'm really excited to keep going. Like I would have never made it this far in this story if not for having my friends with me, but now that I am making it this far, I'm excited to see how I like feel about something I'm reading this
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how like Bitch truly cares about her dogs. I think in some ways she does care about them. I think one of them is like a stray she like took in and isn't like particularly powerful or anything, but she just took it in anyway. So I think there is probably like a soft side to it. But also I do think the story would improve massively if if Taylor had like a little bee or like a crab or like a spider that she had as like her main pet, and was just like, yeah,
That
this is my
kick
crab. I love my
ass.
crab. I love my crab.
Fuck yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
that'd be
gosh,
cool.
yes. I literally just made an image, which I'll give to Amy if Amy wishes to include, about how like sidekick animal characters are like such a great way to make the protagonist show kindness and show like a different side of themselves that they wouldn't show around others. Like if you're worried that like, oh, your protagonist is only expressing one emotion a lot, you can have them express a different side of themselves when they're with like an animal sidekick. And I made an image about this. It was just a little sketch, but I literally made that. I'll put it in chat too, and I totally agree with you, Yakuman. I'm so glad you said that.
Having like
Yeah,
a mascot character is absolutely something that would like happen. Like if Worm was a comic or a manga or an anime, it it's a lot more effective to have mascot characters in something that has visual elements, because then the mascot can become a part of the brand. They become a recognizable feature, like a physical thing, and it's easier to like instead of in a story that is written, it's much easier to talk about how like a character can control wolves, and you can just say that they have 100 wolves if you want, but it's just words, you can imagine it. But if you make that visual, it's probably better to have like one or two wolves that you can make really recognizable, so you don't have to draw them 98 more times each time. So there absolutely would be a lot more of just like having the bugs and probably spiders specifically on screen if this was animated in some way.
Yeah, I agree with that statement for the most part about what you said about the reason that mascots are more prominent in a visual medium is because like it gives the show something iconic, like iconography that you can associate with it. But I do also feel kind of like as an addendum to your point that within the realm of fictional stories. You can have an animal character that is like a reoccurring important animal character who helps like the protagonist to show a different side of themselves and like can be just as cute even in the form of written words. Like in my image I use the term mascot, but that's just because I'm like pushing my agenda of mascot agenda. But in like in stories I could see it as just like a pet. And I think this reminds me of something that me and Yakuman have talked about before, which is World Masterpiece Theater, which is the anime block, which was adapting old like books, like classic literature. And a lot of those stories are about like a boy and his dog or something. Like they wouldn't call the dog a mascot in the original book, but in the anime, like that's an iconic looking dog now. And that one's called Dog of
yeah.
Flanders, if anyone's
Dog
curious.
Flanders, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like in terms of written word, like the most obvious one would probably be Daenerys and her dragons, like three giant ass dragons that you can describe. Those you don't have to necessarily animate them, but they each mean something
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
character. They have names of different like men around her life, and each of them signify a different part of her, and that like gives you hints to what they might do in the future. There's definitely ways of doing it, but like I'm not surprised that there is not like a main like spider, for example, because this story is written in a very like pragmatic way in a sense. So here it would be like, oh no, there's no good reason for me to have a spider because a spider only lives for this amount of time and I need to keep recycling, and therefore I don't have any one bug that I associate with. I do like the visual of, like as she does later on this arc, like have a spider dangling from her finger. I do like that visual. I like to imagine that like as a very stylized in a manga way drawing of her constantly doing that, always having this one spider with her just because it looks cool.
Yeah, that's a really good point you made, Amy. And oh, I forget what it was that we were going to talk about. Something about like one specific like bug or like one specific spider who was like always with her. I agree with what you're saying that like would be a cool thing to see. Oh man, I feel like I had another point I wanted to add on, but I think I've mostly said enough about this topic. But I'm glad you both see what I mean. Oh fuck, I remember what I was gonna say.
Oh,
But first, Yakuman said something in the chat, so let's talk about that.
I just
shit,
fucking wrote
yeah.
something stupid.
no, I'm
It's
going
cute.
to
It's
I'm
great.
going to read your stupid comment. He clacks his claws excitedly, dancing side to side in a little jig. Hell yeah, I thought. An excerpt from my worm fanfiction.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. Fucking. That's me. That's me telling you how to immediately make it cool to have like a little mascot guy. You read that and you're like, man, I like this fucking crab.
So, do you remember
Fuck
the
yes.
crab rave meme?
I do.
Yeah, so the crab rave meme was just someone recording the crab that Taylor made dance, but they didn't realize it was a power. They just recorded that, and the crab became famous.
I love the implication that Taylor continued to make crabs dance to the point that some random bystander witnessed it and like filmed it for like a minute. Like she must have been doing that for like 2 hours, if not more.
I just
Because like imagine the time frame. Like she had to have been doing it for a while, and then someone else entered the beach.
that actually just gave me an idea that like we like to fidget with stuff. Someone that has a power like what Taylor does would probably fidget with it. I just came up with that.
I think she literally does do that with the crab.
No, I mean she's doing that to like kind of show it to Brian. I mean more as in I'm bored
yeah.
and I just start using my power because I have nothing to do.
She does kind of do that in chapter 2, I think it was, like of arc 1, where she was about to send a bunch of bugs out. And I guess in a way that was more just like her trying to hold back from going all out on the bullies. But in a way, what that functionally was kind of like stimming or like fidgeting. Like she was kind of just making the bugs assemble and then disassembling them, not killing them. I mean like making them break off. Like she was just going like, I'm gonna summon them, okay, unsummon them. It's
That's
like
true.
Pokemon trainers who just click the button over and over to keep spawning out their Pokemon and then unspawn it over and over. I assume that's probably happened before in Pokemon.
Yeah, that's true because she just like bring like when it comes to the narrative that is just showing us her power, but she just brings them in to like have a grasp on something to wield her power and then sends them away. That's true.
Just to wrap things all up in a wonderful little bow, before we move on to the next part of our discussion, I really love what you wrote, Yakuman. So I know we were kind of joking around, but like I think that is legitimately good. So keep that in mind, and I think our commenters would agree too. Leave a comment below if you liked what Yakuman wrote.
I think I will change "I thought" to "I smiled" or something along those lines. No, it's a shit post. I'm not gonna fucking change it, but
Okay, Komugi, you just said to wrap things up in a bow. You could have said to wrap things up in a wild bow.
Oh fuck! Missed opportunity.
Speaking of wild, I have something very wild to talk about in 3.4. If we can go there.
Oh yeah, because this is the one finally where
I'm good to move on.
Master shows up. Arms.
Yeah. So he shows up at the very end. Basically, before I get to the one thing I want to mention, this chapter is just Taylor being like, "Oh, I don't want my dad to see that I have my phone," and then she does have a little talk with him at first. Yeah, they have breakfast. He asks about what she's doing. Taylor talks about her new friends. Of course, she does mention the fact that they are super powered people, but she does mention all of their names, talks a little bit about them. It's even a little honest. Like, she talks about how she just wants to make up a complete lie because she could lose the story. So she says half truths, talks about her relationships with them. And the end of the chapter is basically like her going to meet someone, and you think she's going to meet the Undersiders, but it's actually Armsmaster. But the big thing here that I want to hear your thoughts on is that at the start of the chapter, she's talking about how, like, after they got done with their plan, they just hanged around for the whole afternoon. And as they hanged around, there is this one specific paragraph. Having tired ourselves out, we all collapsed on the couches and watched some of Alex's movies from Earth Aleph, the alternate Earth that our Earth had been communicating with since Professor Haywire tore a hole between realities. Media was one of the few things that could be traded back and forth through the hole. Long story short, you could get books, movies, and DVDs of TV shows from the other world, if you were willing to accept the price tag. The benefit? I got to spend the afternoon seeing how the other universe had handled episodes 1 and 2 of the Star Wars films. Fact, they were still pretty disappointing. It's not about the Star Wars, but the fact that in this like throwaway moment that we don't even get the description is just her remembering it. It's like, oh yeah, there are alternate Earths. In fact, we communicate with them pretty often. Like, he just says that.
I am so sorry to say this, and I don't think it would be something that Worm like ripped off from this source, because I'm pretty sure this source did it after the fact, and also this source plagiarized other things. Y2K, a postmodern RPG, does this exact same thing. There's just a girl who out of nowhere brings up the fact that she knows about media from an alternate universe Earth, and she has communications with it, and that also dead people are there. She's like, yeah, you can call your dead family on the phone by making contact with this alternate Earth, because this alternate Earth can just do that. Like, they can just call dead people on the phone. It's the character of Vela. No one's gonna know what the hell I'm talking about because no one here has
Oh.
ever experienced
Oh,
Y2K, but it's that
oh, well,
infamously hated RPG
I think people have come around on Y2K now, Yik, as it's known.
because it got better. Yeah, it improved
yeah, they
itself. The
improving
developers
it,
kept
yeah.
making it better. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I think the creator is probably actually no. I think the creator of Yik is like a Dick Masterson type of guy, and I don't think Dick Masterson type of people like to read Worm. Being a Dick Masterson fan myself, so it probably
Yeah,
hasn't read
it's so
Worm.
it's so true. It's like difficult to say because there's elements in Y2K that I guess I can just spoil it. You can actually do a gay romance route. The game stops you before it goes any further, but you can get in male romances. And there's like elements of it that are progressive or at least trying to appeal to progressives. It is in a way just American persona. But it at the same time, it is from a guy who was on the Dick Masterson show, and like I know what you're getting at. That's a really good point. I don't think he would be a Tumblr reader who like reads
No,
Worm. I see
he
what you
would not
mean.
read
Yeah.
Worm. No, he wouldn't read Worm. But to sort of bring it back around, it is. I think there's like been quite a few of these like just sort of seemingly throwaway lines where like I didn't even understand like when I was first reading it. I didn't even like really understand like what the fuck it was even talking about, and I had to like read it of like because it's just like a completely separate paragraph like out of nowhere. As you mentioned, it's just like a sort of thing that there's like this alternate Earth without the Star Wars, which is pretty disappointing. Weird. It's weird, but it is cool.
Yeah. It just struck me so immediately because both Y2K and Worm do the exact same thing where they bring it up apropos of nothing and then it never contributes to anything else. Okay, there is one other plot point in Yik that also involves the alternate Earth, which is that one character lost his brother to the alternate Earth. So the brother went there, but that really doesn't come up. There's like one scene where they argue about like missing people, and then the guy is like, oh yeah, I lost my brother, he like went to that alternate world, and then Vela, the one who also connected to the alternate world, is like, no way, you're kidding, and like they bond for like 2 seconds, but that's pretty much all it contributes. Like, it's not plot relevant. It just comes up out of nowhere. I guess it's just a weird thing that the creator wanted to explore. So yeah, it just reminded me of how Worm does the same thing. Unless, is the alternate Earth like meant to be more, or Amy, is it legitimately just like it gets mentioned now and then never again?
Oh no, it's very important.
Oh, it is important. Oh, you presented it like it's just mentioned once and then doesn't come up again. I got confused.
No, I meant it as in this was not built up. He just at random says, "Oh yeah, there is another Earth. I do communicate with them." Anyway, I was having breakfast with my dad. It's like what? Like just the idea of introducing this sort of world building element in such this throwaway way. There is a lot to break down in this. Not only is there like some of Taylor's character in there, like talking about Star Wars, but there is a meta element to this, which is it's a character in an Earth talking about an alternate Earth, and there is media about like fictional characters there, and we are ourselves reading a story about a fictional character, so it's like we're doing the same thing. Also, I mentioned this in the tier list episode. Professor Haywire is the most superhero name I've ever seen.
I think Professor Haywire is more like a Dr. Wily, Dr. Eggman type of name. Dr. Robotnik. Dr. Haywire. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I phrased my thought poorly. I didn't mean superhero as in they are themselves a superhero, but the most like superhero media name.
I mean, specifically,
Professor
Arms
Haywire.
Master. Yeah, Arms Master is like, that could be like a superhero character name. Or Glory Girl. No, Glory Girl sounds like a fucking.
Yeah.
It does sound like a porn parody, honestly.
That is a joke, in
It's-
fact, in this arc.
Yes, it is. But yeah, no, Professor Haywire is the most comic book, the most video game name.
I'll have to disagree with you on Arms Master because maybe it's because I am fantasy brained, but that's a fantasy name thing for me. And I swear this has nothing to do with the fact that I use that name in my fantasy story.
No, like Taskmaster is like a superhero character.
Taskmaster?
Yes, he's like a guy. He's a Spider-Man villain and a Deadpool villain. He like learns anything after he sees it once. So and he's like a fucking assassin, Taskmaster.
A Taskmaster and Arms Master.
Yeah, they would not get along very well. I bet Taskmaster's never even seen RoboCop.
He's still busy doing his tasks.
Yeah.
There is I'm going to like ask a question without being specific. And if no one knows what I'm talking about, then I'm not going to explain it. There is something else important in relation to the Earths in this specific paragraph that I read. Does anyone know what that is? It's in this paragraph.
I mean, it was one of the few. Media is one of the few things that get traded back and forth through the hole. So I'm guessing either the hole itself or the things that are getting traded are the important parts.
It shall remain to be seen, unless Komugi wants to have a shot at it.
So you're talking about something that's brought up in the alternate Earth that becomes relevant later? Star Wars?
There is something in this paragraph that is kind of relevant and could be a point of discussion.
Alex movies from Arc Alec.
It's not like
Yeah.
mind blowing,
Star Wars?
but it's in. No, we talked about Star Wars. It's not like, oh, this is like the end game spoilers. It's deciphered to the whole series, but I just find it very intriguing as a point of discussion. If you don't get it, it's
Professor
fine.
Haywire? Professor Haywire?
No, it's not Professor Haywire.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it will be spelled out, and I think you will make the connection to this conversation when it happens. I just think it's very intriguing as a world building concept. So yeah, for 3.4, the rest of the chapter is Taylor having a conversation with her father. In fact, an interesting thing I would like to point out is that every time there is like a named character that appears in a chapter in Worm, there is a tag, so you can use the tags to know when a character appears. But Taylor is Taylor, Armsmaster is Armsmaster. We don't know his name, so he's just Armsmaster. But Danny Hibbert is not tagged Danny Hibbert. He's tagged Taylor's dad. And I find that pretty fucking funny.
It should have been in the tier list. It should have been Taylor's dad as well, instead of Danny Herbert.
Yeah, but then how do you rank that name? It's not a name.
Probably like a strong. Considering it was Ellen that was ranking it, it'd probably be around like a C tier, or no, like an E.
Imagine that like having unnamed parents is very common in fiction. Imagine there is like a tier list like of all the characters in a story, and then there is the unnamed sibling of everyone, like the whole cast, every family member that is not named. No, that's a bad idea. Forget I said that.
Yeah. What if a tier list of dead parents and their deaths in media? That'd be cool.
Someone should write a fanfic about that. Oh,
That's gonna be this show's slogan, ain't it? This fucking catchphrase.
Yeah, someone better fucking do it. I'm actually
That too.
glad I scrolled down to see Taylor's dead tag, because it reminded me of something else that I wanted to say. So later on, we do get the confirmation of what Taylor's like villain name is going to be. And under chapter 3.4, Wildbow himself has left a comment. In the interest of getting people talking, what do you guys think Taylor's name should be when she's in costume? Hire the mode, no name that's already been used in another work. I've got a couple in mind, not 100% decided yet, but I'm interested to hear what others would put out there. I find this quite intriguing, because it is an element of a lot of web serials that chapters get released very close to when they are finished. So there is a possibility for the audience to play a part in building up the story, not like in a very direct way, such as the quests in do you know what quests are when it comes to like fiction writing, web serial writing? I don't know if you know.
No, I know Quest is like a different like internet thing.
So
but I'm
Not
guessing
like
it's like similar.
prompts, like prompts to write based on, or
No, I
yeah,
think-
kind of. It's like
Okay.
it's similar to like an RPG in the sense that like someone's going to hand you a quest, and then you write what the character does in that quest, and the story continues from there. So it's not in such a direct way where like I'm giving you the characters and we're basically playing like an RPG through text only, just by telling the story. But there is an opportunity of a feedback being given, or someone having a really good idea, or someone having a really good name that then gets worked into the story. I don't know how many web serial authors have really went like at length to how much this has influenced their stories, but there is this idea that like if the audience asks for more of one thing and less of another, sure, you don't want to act on every criticism that you get. In fact, you should never do that. You shouldn't act on a criticism just because it was given. But if a lot of people say it, or if you think there's a really good idea, it's like understandable for the author to work that in. And something as a web serial, something that is serialized, has a lot more chances of that happening, which I find particularly intriguing because it's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to stay so many chapters ahead of publication to ensure that I don't have to go back and add things, because I have to just keep the ball rolling. Which might sound contradictory, but I mean it in a sense that first, I'm not editing my chapters, I only proofread them. I know the Worm chapters weren't edited either, but some web serials I believe are. So even though I have the time to go back and edit the chapters, I don't want to do that because I want to practice like bringing my quality to my speed. So I don't want to spend a lot of time editing. And
yeah,
what I am working on right now, like you're only going to read those chapters like 11 months from now. But at the same time, you might think that means that if I get some really good feedback now, I'm going to have 11 months to work that in. But depending on how important that feedback is, on how big of a change that would cause on the story, I can't really do it because it would require me to rewrite a lot of the chapters that are already done. So I just read this comment and I spent like a good like 15 minutes when I was reading the chapter, just like thinking about like examples of this. If I've ever seen an author be specific about this kind of thing. Because a lot of people talk about like, oh, the author saw this theory on Reddit and therefore they went and did that, which is honestly like a very dumb thing. Like people think that their theories are way too fucking good. Like as much as I understand this struggle that A Song of Ice and Fire fans go through, they come up with a really fucking dumb theories. and they talk about it as if like, oh, George is going to read the theories and is going to put them in there because it's actually better, and the end of the show fucking sucked, so therefore we're going to teach him how to write a good ending. There's like a lot of random shit. But in the case of web serials, it like invites that in. And the Wild Ball here is specifically saying like, oh, if anyone comes up with a good name, I'm going to use it. That's just intriguing to me because that's not really how I
Yeah,
engage
like
with it.
it's because like pretty much for as long as like most mediums are like you make something and you put it out there and like whatever criticism you get, like you can go back and edit it if you want, but the original version is still there. Like you drop an album, you drop a movie, you write a book, you can make like a new edition of it if you want, but yeah, there is no. I think like if you're very specifically choosing the medium of web serial, then there is like obviously a slightly different aspects to that medium, which you could choose to utilize or not. And one of them, yeah, is like audience participation, um, which you can get lost in. Obviously, like if you just
Oh yeah.
read every single comment and like fucking think about these people, like yeah, I mean, unless that's like you are like doing a writing by commission kind of like writing by committee thing. That could be interesting, but it also would be a fucking mess. Yeah, yeah, like utilizing these little things, and it's not like a huge thing, but it also kind of is a huge thing. Like, what should I name the main character's superhero name, cape name? It's big enough that it's like interesting that like it makes me want to like have been there to have that discussion, and like, but it's not like so huge that like it wouldn't change anything really if I was there, to be honest. And like if my name did get chosen, it wouldn't change that much in the story. But it's just a cool little thing.
It's also like meta because I'm assuming Wild Ball already knew that the name would be chosen for her. So it's like, oh, we are seeing this person, this cape, and we are going to choose a name. Like us as a society, we see that it's like a hero that does it later. And so if it's like the name that I give that gets picked, there is like a meta narrative element to that will like we named them.
Yeah.
Like we saw that and we did the same thing that the character in universe did.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's true. Like it's certain like it is like news. Actually, like it's sort of like been about thing about like superheroes for quite a long time, where it is like it's not even the superhero that comes up with their own name. It's like the news publication that like came up with the name The Flash. A journalist wrote The Flash in The Flash comics, and then that's just the name he took.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty sure that's true. I mean, there's fucking a million different origin stories for a million different ones, so. But I think that's like the original version of it, or the most common one.
I scrolled down a little bit more, and someone suggested the name Myriad. And Wild Ball said that, oh, Myriad is the name I used for her in the original draft of the story. So interesting. Apparently, there is like quite a discussion there. I don't know if the name that eventually gets chosen was suggested by someone, or if Wild Ball came up with it. There is a comment that I don't know if it's honest or not, but it's hilarious either way. Wait, it isn't Worm?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I also kind of thought her name might have ended up being worm related.
That's understandable. Though it would suck. Like no one's going to take you seriously if you call yourself Worm.
Not if you're Earthworm, Jim.
Earthworm Jin.
Coolest guy.
She should call herself
Yeah, I feel
Earthworm
like-
Taylor.
There is a connection to be made there because the whole of Earthworm Jim was a worm who was like very loyal to a human. Was a princess, a princess, and it's like there's a dark humor element to it as well. But like maybe Jim doesn't have as much like self control as he thinks. Like he's not really independent. He's really just a part of this like cycle. Especially the cartoon of Earthworm Jim, which is pretty kick ass, actually plays into this. Kind of explores how like autonomy was the word I was looking for. That Jim is kind of just like another cog in the machine. In the same way that like Mario is always going to save Peach, that kind of thing. So there is similar themes and a surprising similarity between these two works of Worm and Earthworm Jim. Did I lose connection?
Yeah.
Can anyone?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
No,
we
You were
can
just
hear
talking.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've only ever played the first game of Earthworm Jim. I didn't know that was like a big. That's cool. That's cool. Taking the general format, making it a narrative point. That's good.
Thank you. Glad to talk about these cool things.
Sorry, I was just trying to just see if I could come up with anything else, but I don't think I have. There are some good names on the description though, like on the comments. A lot of people are saying things like Queen, Hive Mind, or Swarm.
Swarm is good.
Swarm is good.
Brain Swarm.
No, I was about to say Swarm is one of the arc names, but that's not true. So I almost spread misinformation. I was almost the worm in this conversation.
Swarm. Like storm, but swarm. Swarmer.
The word worm
Yeah.
is in there.
Swarm up.
Thank you, Komugi. You always have my back.
Of course.
I don't. That's pretty gay.
It is.
That's
But
where
if
the
it wasn't
sentence
gay,
ends.
it wouldn't be worm.
I realized
Right.
that as
If it
I was
wasn't gay, it wouldn't be
talking.
worm.
That's true. If it was the gay, it would be worm. Yeah. I realized as I was talking that I kept going like to the side of my microphone, so I'm already thinking about the editing. I'm like, oh my voice is going to sound different in this one specific moment. I've been brainwormed by this junction, this collective junction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a lot more conscious about the mic placement. I kind of keep it in the same spot. I'm holding it, like, physically, and I always, because I have a cheap piece of shit. But now I'm like, I don't want to get too close or too far away, because that is, like, a thing. Now I know fucking pains of audio engineering.
I don't think
Can we,
there's
go
anything
to
else
the,
for
Arms
3.4.
Master chapter? Well,
Yeah,
fuck it.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
I'm down for anything. I've said everything.
Sorry, you just, like, came in, like, really, really loud on my end.
Oh, me?
No, Amy.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I think it was just like it just sort of like buffered a little bit, and then like I don't know, there's just like a spike in like audio. It fucking ruined my ears.
Like a swarm of audio.
So
Essentially, what happens in this chapter is that Taylor asks a favor of Arms Master, which is she basically walks up to a super police cop man and says, I'm going to commit a crime. I don't want you to do anything about it. And he's like, that's really unreasonable. And Taylor's like, can't have shit in Brockton Bay. I hate this guy. But Arms Master is completely on the right in this situation, I think. Like, why would
yes,
he trust her? And also,
yeah, and like
just the fact that we understand that he's a lot more pissed at her than we were led to expect, because all the backlash from Lung almost dying and being essentially tortured fell on him. He had to deal with that.
yeah, and I think like it's because of you know, the fact that she did all that to Long and didn't quite understand the consequences of it, which is like obviously gives the impression that Taylor doesn't quite know what she's doing. She's not as smart as she thinks she is. She rushes into things a little too quickly, and a lot of her plans end up falling through because of it. And I think Arms Master has very quickly clocked onto this fact.
Yeah,
that's why
he understood it very fast.
Like it's one thing to go to the beacon of Paragon, that is the Mr. Morale himself, and go, I'm gonna commit a crime. But it's also I'm gonna commit a crime as part of a big scheme, and also I'm a fucking idiot, and I'm 16. I don't know what I'm doing, but I think I do. You, Mr. Adult Man, you've got to wait behind. And but that would piss me off as well.
And there are a couple of different sides to this. That is, like, we understand why Taylor is doing this, like, personality wise, and also there are like a weird like a dilemma or like contradiction, I guess, where she's distrustful of authority in a sense, but she still looks up to the heroes. She sees them as separate, and one of them is benign and the other not necessarily. If you think back to then everything that she has done so far, she like went out in costume without knowing what she was going to do. She was just going to pick a fight. Then she thought she had a good fight with Lung, and she wanted to be a hero, but she got immediately mistaken for a villain. But then she's like, "Oh no, then I'm going to keep doing this. Oh okay, no, but now I'm going to become a part of this villain group, but I'm going to do it to tell on them later." Like she keeps walking herself deeper by like looking at mistakes and basically thinking, how can I use this situation to get what I want? Like she's not nearly as prepared as she believes herself to be. And the arms master says this to her face, and she does the same thing. Instead of like she adjusts her plans to herself, which she then goes, "No, I'm still going to do all of that, but instead of telling the information to Arms Master, I'm going to tell it to Miss Militia." So she just keeps making it worse by herself. No one's doing anything.
Yeah. And meanwhile, all the while, she does none of this type of stuff when she's getting bullied. She's just kind of stuck and helpless whenever those situations happen.
I think a paragraph that really, not really a paragraph, but an interaction that really encapsulates this is that at one point, like Arms Master calls her stupid, and he starts saying like, "You're asking for my permission to carry out a major crime. At least I assume it's a major crime because you wouldn't be asking otherwise. You want me to stand by so you can play your little spy game with a team that has 2 murderers on it." And instead of addressing everything that he says, she immediately goes, "Two? I couldn't believe that Rachel had maybe killed someone at some point. Manslaughter if nothing else, but who else would?" Eyes wide, I asked him, "Who?" So she ignored the part of, "You're asking for my permission to carry out a major crime," and she focuses on, "Wait, my friends are murderers?" Look, she's really not prepared. She's presenting this as if it was a negotiation, but she herself is not willing, at least at this specific point, to really compromise.
Yeah, no, like she's got like this plan that's already too big and out of her control, really. Like, she doesn't even actually like have the information on the boss or whatever. Like, she doesn't know if she can actually get it. But again, like every single warning she could get, she instead focuses on like, the murdering aspect.
This is why I mentioned the Sword of Damocles earlier, because one of the main issues that she has is that she can't control what Lisa knows, so Lisa might find this out by just using her power. And so she's saying, "Oh yeah, the Sword of Damocles is over my head. I'm going to do it anyway."
Yeah, no, that was like something I was thinking that I was supposed to say in relation to this, but I can't remember what the fuck it was. I don't know, Arms Master calls her a stupid girl. That's based. That's what I would have done.
Stupid woman.
This is the best podcast.
I think that's a Squidward quote.
That sounded like Peter Griffin to me.
Yeah, it was Peter Griffin.
I thought so. He has a certain way that talks that does make him sound like Squidward with a stuffy nose. Like, Peter. I mean, Lois.
Yeah.
He'll kind of talk like
Maybe it
he'll say his
was.
own name like a Pokemon. Peter.
Well, I've never watched Family Guy, so
I don't believe that.
I've seen scenes. I've never watched one entire episode, start to finish.
Okay, actually I do believe that. I think that's true for most people. Like, I've seen, like, the first, like, 2 seasons, and I'm, like, unironically a fan of those. But I think for most people, they do just, like, look at the clips that's forever posted on TikTok and YouTube. Something I was gonna say about these 2 chapters,
Yeah.
I think I put this up in, like, a previous episode. But I think it's interesting how this chapter is paired with the last one. Both of them are conversations with an authority figure of Taylor's dad and now Arms Master, and it's like two very different ways in which she speaks to them and like views them. And I think in the last chapter there's like quite a few instances of Taylor just sort of like looking down on her dad and like, well, she like loves him and stuff, but like is like insulting him and sort of describes him as like weak and stuff. And this one is like, like you can kind of like feel, even though she's not really listening to Arms Master a lot of it, you can feel that like she looks up to him and like is sort of intimidated by him not, reprimanding her. It's like an authority she actually respects.
I was going to say something, and now I'm trying to remember what it was. It's my time. It's my turn. This has happened with all of us in this episode alone.
When we're kind of broken for this episode.
It's fine.
But we're holding it in with SpongeBob.
I think we've made pretty good like leeway on the chapters, honestly. I think we do good.
Yeah.
Like this was like my first episode in the show where we really like made good progress, good time. It's only been an hour, I think.
It's like almost 2 hours.
Well, keep in mind though, we didn't start until like 40 minutes in. Remember?
I
Oh, no,
don't.
like,
I
we had
don't.
to- we had
I don't remember the last 2 hours.
We had to restart. So about 30 minutes, YAKUMAN showed up, and then at like 40 minutes to 50 minutes was when we had to completely restart due to connection. Like everyone's Wi-Fi was shit in the bed.
I don't think it was that much, but yeah, it's not really 2 hours.
Yeah, no, that's not the recording time. The
I
recording
was
will like be shorter itself.
Yeah, and I'm going to edit around this, so it's fine. I was going to say something about the authority figures as well. Oh, right, yeah. The fact that she's speaking with 2 figures in position of authority to her life, which are 2 older men, and she's lying to both of them, but it's not as if she doesn't have reasons. Like, we understand why she's doing it, but at the same time, she is being unreasonable. I like that she's not just completely on the wrong. We understand why she's doing it, but we can still look at it and say, like, yeah, no, you shouldn't be doing this. You're being more of a teenager than you realize.
Yes. Which is true for most teenagers. So it's good writing.
It is.
Also, as I'm looking through this chapter, and I'm thinking about the tier list video you did, and you see, I kind of forgotten about the names Battery and Assault until it was brought up in that tier list. And now that I'm looking at it, and they're part of the Protectorate or whatever, I'm now like, why is Battery and Assault the superheroes?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I don't particularly remember them as characters. They kind of blend together in my mind.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that in the fucking tier list video. There's quite a few characters that you just didn't remember, and I don't blame you.
A lot of those are very throwaway, but I will be reminded of all of them. I just remembered this, that at the end of episode 1, I said I was going to show you fan art of every character, and I have not done that at all, whatsoever.
Nope.
I should fix that for Arc 4.
Fucking, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't have like that good a description like in my head of like what the superhero costumes kind of look like. I know like what they look like vaguely, but like, I don't know. I'm not like, yeah, I can't like picture half these characters in my mind, honestly. There's just something about like the way that it's described that just like doesn't stick in my head. Though, I do have like 20-something fucking arcs, so
Yeah.
30. So I'll remember what they look like.
I remember as well. I don't know if he has done this more than once, but at least once he like drew like this weapon that a particular character has as like a way to like, oh, if you want to draw it, here's how it's supposed to look. I don't know if Audible has done this a lot of, but he has made like at least one like guide drawing that I know of. Something else I've noticed in this reread is that when it comes to a story that is updated like constantly but with a gap between them, it tends to be more important to have good hooks at the end of each chapter than it necessarily might be the case for a whole novel. And a lot of these end in really funny ways. Like the second to last line or the second to last paragraph starts with "Fuck it, I was going to rob the hell out of that bank."
Yeah, I'd win the trust of the undersiders. I was gonna figure out who was running the show, and then I was gonna hand over all the info to Miss Militia. I was thinking, not Alms Master, like a kind of jokey, like a funny. Yeah, it's funny that she's so overconfident still, and kind of snarky, but it is also funny. It says something about her character, but it's funny, and you're right.
Yeah, like a snarky teenage reminder, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to rob the hell out of that bank. And then, I think it was the previous chapter, it was, oh, we just planned a bank robbery before noon. And then there is obviously, they seem like good people. Like, a lot of these end in similar ways. Which is not a criticism, I'm saying it's good. I didn't remember them being so funny.
Speaking of funny, I've noticed that like that Arms Master's halberd is constantly capitalized.
Yes, I complained about this.
Yeah.
Why?
So it's like it's its own character.
Even when it says on his halberd is still capitalized, capital H.
Yes, in all four instances of the halberd being brought up in this chapter, it's all capitalized.
I understand that's like a special weapon, but it's also weird because halberd is just a name of a weapon.
Yeah, it's not called. He didn't name his weapon halberd. It is a halberd.
Yeah,
like a musket, you know. And yet it's always capitalized in all four instances.
It's really funny to me.
It is. Though also, you know, it's kind of endearing actually. Like if Arms Master considers it important enough to him to be like a person, like an extension of himself, like a friend, that's really adorable, and I like it. Taylor could use that, but with like a spider or crab companion, I think that'd be good.
Do you think he sleeps like hugging the halberd like a body pillow?
Probably. I think Arms Master is once fucking never mind. I was trying to think, I was trying to come up on the spot of like what's like a funny superhero sleeping fucking pattern thing. But I don't think any of them have any. Whatever.
Sorry, babe, the halberd stays on during sex.
It's like a fucking like dog. He just always has it like sleeping on the bed with him, and like in the middle.
Yeah, like the halberd has its own pillow. Like there's one just for it. Oh, does anyone have any more thoughts on 3.5?
No. I think that's it. I think I'm willing to go to we're about halfway. Get to the halfway point. I think. Move on to the halfway point. 3.6.
Yeah, 3.6 would be one where it would be very useful if we had a summary, but I think we can make it because it's just like a long, not really long because this is a very short chapter. It's just then on the way to get to the bank, but it's just Lisa and Taylor having a dialogue. And the first thing that they're talking about is Lisa is explaining to her how the dynamic between heroes and villains is like a game of cops and robbers, where it's like these people have these powers and they are going to use it. But it's in the interest of society that they wield it against one another, because that way they keep both sides in check. And if you ever fully remove that, then what are you going to do with those powers? Like, people are still going to want to use them. They're going to turn those metaphorical guns to normal civilians. And this, she believes, plays a part on why there doesn't seem to be as much interest as you would expect from the heroes to get rid of villains. Like, they generally just are arrested for a while and then they released. And if they're arrested 3 times, then generally they go to this place called the Birdcage. I just think it's very intriguing, both from just a writing side, like, let me think about a way in which this trope could be deconstructed and reconstructed to fit into a society. Basically, what they describe here is like the same thing that happens in every like superhero story, except that here it makes sense. In fact, and I think that you, Yakuman, probably felt very vindicated by a certain line here, which is, no, hear me out. Grown adults running around in costume, making up code names for themselves, it's ridiculous. And yes, Lisa, you are correct. Superheroes are ridiculous.
Yeah, though, like, this is like not. This is something that does get brought up in like a lot of superhero media as well. Like, there was like a point where like superheroes started to become all self-aware and stuff. I think like
Okay.
it started somewhere around like the 80s and stuff, and like that's when like the the jokes and the pointing out of like the isn't it a little bit ridiculous that like you're dressed as a bat and I'm dressed as a clown and we're kicking the shit out of each other and I always escape and then you put me back in. Isn't this kind of like a big goofy fucking game? It is a it's something that has been like a part of superhero stories, but it's not like I don't think it's focused on here in this story. I don't think it's gonna get focused on either. But the entire aspect uh of like what is even the point of putting on a costume in the first place? What it like I get the idea of it like to like a person on a person to person basis there is going to be a reason to put on this costume. This costume is going to mean something to this person. But like what are we really doing here with all these costumes? It is silly. It is ridiculous. Yeah, it's not like the first time I've like ever heard this be brought up. But it is yeah. A part of this like conversation, it makes me wish that I like oh, I can't believe I'm fucking saying it, but like it makes me wish that I was more into superheroes still, so that like I could have this entire perspective of like the superhero guy talking about this story. Then I could be like I could be the worm. I'm stuck as the brain, but I could be the worm if I just was into superhero comics, like way into my adult life. But unfortunately, I just could have all these fucking hidden memories from my teen years of really, really thinking that Batman was like the coolest fucking thing in the world. And now I physically cannot get up. I can't get up and out of my bed to go watch Superman. And I don't particularly respect anybody else that does.
And to make matters clear,
That was fucking genius and agreed, Yakuman. That was great. I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry for interrupting.
no, I had to
Thank
cough,
you.
so you interrupted in the prime moment, actually. But just to explain, like, it's not as if I can't understand why a character would have a cool design for the sake of a cool design. Like, that happens in manga and the anime all the time, and we are a lot more tuned in into manga and the anime, I think, in general. So it's not that I don't understand that, but you also have to like talk about it at some point, because it does become a little silly if it's never addressed.
It also happens in wrestling a lot more nowadays. They'll just be wrestlers that will just stop and then they'll go, this is all an act, okay, guys? I don't really care about all this stuff. I'm just trying to make some money, okay? And like, that's kind of a part of the fucking heel is pointing out that this is all silly and stupid and you're silly and stupid for liking it. But you know what? I'm glad that Tokusatsu, like Ultraman and Kamen Rider, all of those guys are like so into being, and a lot of magical girls are so into being these heroes that like they would never say this sort of stuff. It's like, well, of course I'm doing it. Um, yeah. It's like uh, are you Kamen Rider? That's a silly question. Would you ask the sun if it's the sun? Why do you have the Kamen Rider belt? That's another silly question. Would you ask the sun why it shines every day? Like those sort of that just sort of like they're
Yeah.
so into being superheroes. It's like it makes it cool.
The reason that Kamen Rider and Magical Girls and other media is so fucking kick-ass is because they genuinely really love to do it. And oftentimes the hard part of being a Toku hero or being a magical girl is actually the like interpersonal stuff that happens in your life, regardless of you having powers. Oftentimes the powers actually help you
Yes.
get through it easier. Like Kamen Rider Ryuki, his life is he's basically Peter Parker. He goes into a reporting job and is treated like shit by his boss. But like the thing that helps him get ahead in life and find meaning is that he finds a kick-ass dragon who he partners up with because he doesn't want to see his friends die because there was a bunch of other demons and shit that were going to kill them. So he loves being a hero because he protects people, and it doesn't matter how shit his normal life is. That's the hard part for him. Yeah, that's definitely a very good point. I totally agree.
Actually, I want to make my stance a little clearer on this because basically we were talking about two points. The one how the dynamic between heroes and villains is worked into a society, and also the fact that it is kind of stupid. And I said that you have to address it at some point. I'm going to walk that
Yes.
point back because I've been thinking about it and I actually don't agree with it. I don't think you have to. It depends on the story and it fits this story a lot because it is a main thing. Like there's a lot more to be talked about when it comes to like the capes and why they are doing this. For for example, like a lot of people talk about the suspension of disbelief, but there is a maybe it's like adjacent to it, but there is also this idea of the outlandish impossibility, which I don't believe is a very common term. I got this from the Writing Excuses podcast, where I'm going to find the episode and I'm going to link it in the description. But it's like this podcast about writing that the whole point is that it's like 15 to 20 minutes long, so you just get through it. I remember talking about this, but I don't think we were recording on that day. And an outlandish impossibility is something that wouldn't actually happen, but you just accept it because it's there for the sake of doing something else for the story. Like uh like lightsabers in Star Wars. Light doesn't stop.
Yes.
They wouldn't work like that. You would just have a
Yeah.
big beam of light cutting through everything, but it doesn't matter because it's there for the sake of allowing the story to be told and evoking these like kinda like swordsman samurai story that is also about magic, that is also about technology and having all of that. And here it is an outlandish impossibility in the sense that like people would probably treat it like they'd probably just use their powers and bring attention to themselves, or they would hide themselves in a way that doesn't bring attention to them as recognizable individuals, even if you can't identify their identity. That's a weird phrase, identify their identity. But you accept it because it's there for the sake of the story. And it's there for the sake of a team in particular that has it's there already in the story, but I don't want to spell it out. It will be once again talked about in more detail. But yeah, I just wanted to walk that point back because I actually
Yeah.
don't think you have to
It's
address it.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. The Cinema Sins robot chicken like Rick and Morty esque like pointing out how
Oh
everything is
yeah.
stupid is like the worst thing in the fucking world, and I want to kill all these people. who ever bring it up as like, huh, isn't like Mario? He's like taking mushrooms, like drugs, dude.
Yeah.
I want to kill all of them. I'm tired of that shit. I like sincerity and weirdness of the stories, but it is also like, I think what you have to keep in mind is the the sort of like internal logic of the world. Even if the logic is illogical, it is still a type of logic. Like Galaxy Express 999, which is like one of my favorite things ever. Like the entire world, like the entire universe is just like things just sort of happen, and it's always like metaphorical. Like a woman will just walk by and she's like made of glass, and it never, even though it's a sci-fi story, a space opera sci-fi stories, it never asks like, well, what would it be like if you were a glass person? What would that like? What's the implication of that? It's more focused on using this glass woman in order to like show Tetsuro's like flaw as a character and like that whole story. Um, it's just sort of like a thing that happens. We never see another glass person for the next 113 episodes. Um, we just like it just like that sort of shit just sort of happens. But it is like an internal logic because you know that like metaphors are like they take like stronger effect over than like trying to explain comparatively to like Star Trek. Like Star Trek is like more trying to explain it tries to explain a little bit more about how these cultures would work if there was a culture where everyone speaks. There's like a culture where everyone speaks in metaphors, and it's like, okay, well, what would that society be like? Meanwhile, in Star Wars, Doctor Who, like that wouldn't really matter that much. It would just be like a thing that's cool, and you can accept like you won't like apply the same uh, criticism to Star Wars as you would Star Trek because they're trying to accomplish different things with different stories.
Yeah, and this is why, like, discussing stories when it comes to plot holes is fucking stupid. Because if you keep looking, there is always going to be a point at which it breaks, because it's not meant with the intent of not breaking. So, like, discussing, like, ridiculously specific mechanics when they don't really interfere with the narrative being told, it's just nonsense. Like, uh, if you, hypothetical audience member, thinks that something like cinema scenes isn't just entertainment but some sort of criticism or analysis, I'm sorry, but you're not thinking hard enough about your interaction with media. Like, it really isn't. It's just nonsense. It's at
I
best
mean, I don't know how much.
entertainment.
I think cinema sins think they insist that they're just assholes and comedians first, but I think they also take all of their criticism seriously when they do say it, and that's sort of like what's frustrating about it. But yeah, if you're watching Cinema Sins, do anything else with your time. For the love of fuck.
They believe that when they make a video about like a popular movie and it gets like 5 million views because they're talking about a popular movie, they actually did something valuable when really they were just riding the timeline of, like the new Godzilla's coming out, so they make one about the Godzilla 2008 movie, and they crank it out in like a week to like meet the release of the new. They'll cover an old version of a movie to match the new one, and they legitimately believe that they're doing something valuable there, when really they're just like taking a shit on a piece of
Yeah.
property and just like going, "I'm super smart," and that is the hardest part of all.
Yeah, if you take Cinema Sins a bit too seriously, I think you'll end up running into being pretentious pretty quickly.
Yeah, not that I'm not pretentious, but being obsessed with cinema scenes, as in caring too much about the technicality of things and not enough about
Yes.
what the story is actually trying to tell you with it.
And that's why we're
Yeah.
excited to announce Everything Wrong with Worm, a 15-part series on each chapter coming to this
Oh, no.
channel soon.
Oh, yeah, you can go ahead and do yourself. I'll not be. I'll be around for that one.
Which chapter are we on, gang? I
We're
think
on
5?
3.6.
Yep.
Oh, right, we finished 5. That's right.
Yeah, that was a pretty lengthy discussion about the very like second paragraph, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even though we're like immediately after that we're brought into like more world building and stuff, like the Slaughterhouse 9, Nilbog,
Yeah.
and the Endbringers, with the Endbringers being like the most uh the most bad group there is. That like to bring it up is to just be like, you know, yeah, that just makes everyone's butthole clench.
Yeah, I want to talk about this because we start talking about like the again heroes and villains talking fighting against one another, and it's like that makes sense, that has been worked into society. But then we have the actual dangerous people, the actual things we should care about. Uh, put a pin on this idea, like in the computer that is in your brain. Write that down in a note, like in a widget. Put it to the side in your desktop. Uh, it's going to be important. And then we just have the names, as you said. Does anyone have any thoughts on the names? The Slaughterhouse 9, Nilbog, the Endbringers.
Okay, so Slaughterhouse 9, I think, is a reference to Slaughterhouse 5, which is a book. So that's cool. I get that one. Nilbog, I think I know that one. I think that's a video game.
Yeah,
And
as I have
the
learned
Endbringers.
in the tier list, Nilbog is goblin backwards.
Oh yeah, Ellen fucking mentioned that recently to me as well.
I read the whole of Worm
Okay.
and I never noticed that.
I've listened to Ellen bring that up twice, and I still did not notice it when fucking Nilbog showed up in front of me.
Well, seems like you just admitted to not being the brain.
Oh shit! Episode's over. See you next week. A rudely toot toot.
Try again next time. And then, of course, the
Yeah,
Endbringers. Capital E.
yeah,
I wonder what
yeah.
that
So there's like
means.
funny, silly villains, and then there's like the big bad villains, which I think is also kind of like a thing you also see, where it's like sometimes some superheroes have like entirely casts of goofy villains that just do goofy shit, but then every now and again there are like ones that are like legitimately just gang bosses who cause a lot of trouble and harm. Some are like the most twisted psychopaths, and then some guys are just like the fucking crazy quilt, like polka dot man, and they just kind of, the thing is that they are just goofy. Fucking kite man. Fucking
I believe
yeah.
the like widespread nature of people mentioning Kite Man, not to say that you got it from this, Yakuman. I just mean like in general, the way that people bring up Kite Man. I believe that was popularized by I Hate Everything, the YouTuber, because he used to do his little show and he would interact with like two reoccurring characters, and one of them was Kite Man, who he hated. And in the intro of every video, you can see little Kite Man fly by the screen, and then the title of whatever the I Hate Everything video
I
was
think
will show up. It's literally presented by
think
Kite
kite
Man flying by.
I think Kite Man has always been a meme in the Batman universe.
I see. Oh, I always thought it was popularized
Yeah.
by I Hate Everything, but you're right. It probably always
No.
was a meme. That's interesting.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. There's quite a few that like. There's quite a few villains that showed up in like the very golden silver age stuff, and then like their entire thing is that like they are just the most pathetic, downtrodden. Like everything is going wrong in their lives. Like even being a superhero villain is like, it's not even an escape. It is also more trouble and harm. And I think there's one Spider-Man villain. That's like really goofy and weird, and then like Spider-Man just like finds him homeless and like on the verge of death,
Oh.
and it's it's like, yeah, and he's got like fucking like stage 3 cancer, and he's just completely given up. Uh, it's just these fucking, yeah, shit like this just gonna happens at one point. Again, there was a point in the 80s where a bunch of guys were just like, what if comic book superheroes were like good? and like people liked them, and like
That's a Jesse, Endless Jets bit. That's a direct
it,
quote.
it from the
and
Yellow
then they
episode,
stopped
actually.
doing it.
Then they stopped. Yep, they stopped. Right around when I came of age, right around 18. That's when all superhero comics became gay and stupid. I can't read them anymore, except for the ones I already like the Flaming Carrot. Actually, I read Flaming Carrot as 21-year-old, and I like the Flaming Carrot, but not the
I
Flaming
think I've
Carrot.
heard of Flaming Carrot. I think he met Cerberus the Aardvark, which I really
He
like.
did. He did.
Ah, I know him from Cerberus. Nice.
Yeah.
The only comic I've ever read, and I only read like a couple of volumes of it, was Something is Killing the Children. That was quite recent.
Okay.
I've
No, I've never heard
never
of that
read
one.
a comic other than that one. And Harpy Story, boom, it's on your screen.
Oh yeah, Harpy Story. That's actually like my favorite comic thing that's come out in the past
So
forever.
you're wrong, Yakuman. Someone also thought, what if comics were good once again? And that happened in 2025.
It sure did, and I'm sure I'm grateful for it. If only they had thought to put in cute Harpy girls instead of fucking Batman. Stupid.
You think what Harpy Story needs to like really explode? It needs people going out in costumes. Like we're going to get 11 new characters. Like you 11 new characters. You can make a few superheroes in there. Like make a guy run real fast or something.
Okay, listen. This is like a note to Ellen that he's also currently making a story and stuff. If it turns out that all these monster girls are like superhero costumes and they're actually just like regular real people, I will be so upset. I will be so.
That is literally
if she just
the exact feeling that I get when a mascot turns out to have been like a human in disguise, and shows
Yeah.
will pull that shit.
Yeah, if Sue just takes off her wings and it's just like, boy, I sure do love being a Harpy girl. I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
Yeah, like she takes off
There's a
her
fucking
wig.
show.
Her hair's a wig. It's not even green.
There is a fucking show called Magical Destroyers, and it's bullshit, but I suffered through all of it because the mascot was cute. And then in the last episode, they revealed that it was just a human, like using a scientific hologram. It's like not even a real mascot, just a human. I was so pissed. I was like, I watched through this entire show with one light in the tunnel that there was a cute mascot, and even that was a fucking lie.
Yeah, Magical Destroyers is fascinating because you look at it and you go, how can this show be bad? It doesn't make sense. It has everything. How is it bad? But it is. It just is.
Perfectly said. Yeah. I think Harpy's story is a great example of what a young person with a clear passion about like certain topics, like Ellen's passion for like Harpy characters and all her inspirations is so apparent in Harpy's story, but it's also original and good. The issue with Magical Destroyers is that he doesn't actually care. That Jun Imagawa, the guy who made Magical Destroyers, he doesn't actually care about like the magical girl genre. He sees it as like something he can insert like into his own like edgy story and be like, oh, it's an edgy story, but they're magical girls. But like he hasn't seen like hundreds of episodes of like kids magical girl anime. He literally thinks that they're just about like flowers and being friends. He admitted that in interviews. So I think that's the biggest issue with Magical Destroyers. It has nice visuals, but at its core, it's not made by someone who cares about what really any of its genres are.
No, I disagree. I think it's just poorly written. I think it's just bad.
Yeah, but if it actually was made by a guy who'd like experienced more media and like knew how to tell a good magical girl story, it could have at least been good in that regard. I'm not saying it had to be a
Yeah.
good magical girl show to be a good show, but that could have been one way it could have been good. But unfortunately, it wasn't good.
Okay. Yeah. No. I agree. Then. Yeah.
But yeah, going back to like comics and kind of like the characters that we see in this story, I think what's nice about Worm is, as Yakuman has said many times, there isn't any like self-aware like Oh my gosh, isn't it wild that I, like, control worms? This is like some plot you'd see in a crossover movie. Am I gonna meet, like, Nick Driver? Or what is the guy's name? Nick Fury. Am I gonna meet Nick Fury and get recruited? Like, there's no
Nick
self-aware,
Driver.
like, silly. Nick Driver. I was thinking of Adam
Um,
Driver.
yeah, yeah. It's not. I mean, that was part of my worries that was going into it. That was like, is how like on a scale of what's like the most sincere superhero story? Probably like All Star Superman. Yeah, like from the end of All Star Superman all the way to like Robot Chicken. Like how sincere is this gonna be? How is it this? How much is it gonna just spend like like just like bringing like I don't like the boys. I don't like Invincible, and I don't like because like it's always presented to me as like, well, look, it's like a deconstruction of the superhero genre, and it's like stuff that's already been said for like the past 40 years, and so I just sort of like feel repelled by it because like, I don't think you're gonna do anything. I'm not convinced you're gonna do anything interesting with these stories and these ideas and tropes, and in comparison to like The Watchmen or like The Long Halloween is probably like the most interesting like Batman story in terms of just like taking all of its ideas and just and Hush. Yeah, The Long Halloween and Hush is like taking all the ideas of Batman and then just fucking going nuts with it. Uh, you know, there was that worry when I was going into it, and so far I'm not like at no point have I been like pissed off and annoyed that like it's so insincere and so better than it's not coming from the angle that like I'm better than all of these superhero stories. Like there's like one Rick and Morty episode where like they're talking about like anime and stuff, and it comes from like the angle of like we're better than every anime. Every anime is like fucking reused cycle animation and like goofy tropes and bug-eyed people, and it's weird and stupid, and we're better than that. And it's just it was just obnoxious and grating. Fucking Justin Roiland, fucking stupid. And yeah. So far, this one seems to actually like superhero stories. And if you don't fucking write a story about it for 30 arcs, you fucking idiot. But if you do like it,
Spot on.
it's good.
Yeah, actually, one of the well, I don't know if it was a main inspiration in the sense that inspired the story or if just inspired him to write. But there is this other superhero web serial called Legion of Nothing, which Wildebow has said is an inspiration that he has read it. The Legion of Nothing. I never read
Yeah.
it, I just know it exists. So yeah, he
Okay.
probably does enjoy superheroes, and I do think he actually reconstructs the tropes in interesting ways. Because you mentioned like The Boys and Invincible. I
Yeah.
don't understand why anyone would think that Invincible is a deconstruction. First, like
That's just how it's presented to me. Like when it was. And then I was like, I just can't be bothered.
so like
I see where
first,
Yakuman's coming from.
Like, yeah.
Invincible is by the author of Walking Dead. It's the same comic
yes,
author. And I think what Walking Dead and what Invincible both do are to try to be like taking Walking Dead takes like the Dawn of the Dead story and like looks at it from like, well, what if the really fucked up thing wasn't the zombies, but was really the way that humans turn on each other? That kind of is the fucked up part about Walking Dead, more so than the zombies. They're still threatening in Walking Dead, but the fucked up cult shit is what's bad about that world. So I think Invincible, in a similar fashion, is like the horror of that story is not some big supervillain. It's more so the way that like Mark's dad is like crazy, like genocidal, I would say, person who
Hmm.
goes and abandons his kid to go fuck an alien chick and like doesn't care if the Earth gets genocided. Like that's kind of the dark part of Invincible, more so than stuff that you would see in a superhero story. It's the dad going away from home and being
Oh,
like a piece of shit, like
Well,
daddy issues. Like I think that's kind of where Invincible's different.
I'm gonna let Amy go for a second, but I do have. I'll clarify what I mean in a second.
yeah. So, like, first, there is this idea that deconstruction is a word attributed to a story to say it is good. Like, something can be great without deconstructing anything. Something can be
Yes.
really terrible trying to deconstruct or reconstruct something. Like, that isn't really a judgment of like literary merit, but a lot of people use that word in that context. But Invincible is just a superhero story that is more violent than the others. The plot twist of what if Superman was evil not only is something that was done in Superman already, but also like
Yes.
it's not really enough to warrant it as a deconstruction. It is
Yeah.
just a superhero story that has gore in it. Like
Yeah.
it
It's
isn't really deconstructing that
Yeah. It was just
idea.
like that was just sort of like how it like presented to me, like when it was first coming out, like the animated show. Like I had known about it, but like I never like read it. And then when the animated show, it was like it's like this deconstructing that like does something with this, and it's like serious superhero stories. And like again, it was another Superman, but he evil.
Yeah.
Which is like several stories, including Superman ones, and like there's like a Flash character who uses super speed to save people, and then all those people get like nauseous from it, and they start throwing up, and like that is something that happens in the Flash, and it's like acts. It was presented to me as like this is like a really funny joke that like the Flash writers for the past 60 years have never thought of like what if someone that got picked up by the Flash as he's running at light speed is gonna get sick. And I was like, oh man, I'm tired of you people. Fucking, I don't like superheroes at all. I don't care. But you know, I care more than like the average person apparently. But also I don't. And it's like really it's fucking tearing me apart.
So what happens in Invincible is not only that like oh Superman bad, it's like what's the name of the planet that Superman comes from again?
Krypton.
Krypton. So it's like what if the people from Krypton we didn't get like the good guy?
Krypton these nuts.
No. I'm trying to reset my brain because that distracted me. So anyway, it's like not Krypton, then something bad happens, and then we get the good guy that comes from Krypton, and so he has powers, but he uses it for good. It's like, oh no, what if the whole of Krypton was bad? Like they know how powerful they are, and they just live in this like in this society that incentivizes violence and power. That is a plot twist. That is not a deconstruction of a genre. That is a plot
Yeah.
twist.
Yes. Actually, you know what? In terms of the limited experience I have of thinking about Invincible, I did see the comic pages and panels of the fucking main character's dad going off to fuck a bunch of really hot like insect chicks, and I was like, okay, I think I'm a little bit more sold now. Though the animated series made
For
them less
real.
sexy, so whatever. I don't care about that. But in the comic itself, they're like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
the
like.
animated series has a lot of problems that like undersell things that were cool in the comic. I'm not even an Invincible fan. I just think that there was like interesting parts of the comic. In the comic, there's this like hero who Mark idolizes that's kind of a part of it. And later on that someone comes to Earth and an alien disguises themselves as that like hero. And it's like a really cute scene. And in the comic, it actually like feels like built up to. In the animated show, there's no hinting beforehand that Mark like idolized this hero. Like I guess they just didn't have time for that. There's so much stuff in that adaptation. I'm like, ugh. And also the animation is so ugly. It's really ugly most of the time. Bummer. Bit of a bummer. But I mean, I'm not a big Invincible fan anyway. It's not one of my favorite comics or anything.
So I mentioned the story, The Legion of Nothing, which I've never really read, but one aspect of just like its premise that I find interesting is that it follows like this group of kids who are like descendants, like their fathers or their grandfathers were like superheroes. They came from a superhero team that was made during World War II, and now
Like
the
Young
war.
Justice.
I'm not
Young
sure.
Justice. Yeah, that's Young Justice, like Justice League's like sidekicks and children forming a group.
Yeah, specifically what I think happens in the Legion of Nothing is that like the whole past generation has died. They were formed like for this war, and the war is over, and they all of them died, and now the kids are like trying to pick the mantle up. I just think that's an interesting setup of like trying to live up to whatever it is that our forefathers did, except there is no war for us to take a part in anymore. So what do we do? I'm not even sure if that's the direction it goes. I just think it's an intriguing setup.
Um,
Oh,
I think
actually,
I'm kind of like out of juice for talking about. I mean, like unless we want to go in like a slightly different direction. Like, I mean, I can talk about this for like ages, but yeah. What are you gonna say?
no, I was just going to say that I have it opened up right now, and the like last line of the synopsis or last paragraph does say that like it's not a green and gritty story. Instead, it's like trying to play all the conventions of comics from the 1940s onwards, ranging from serious to silly. So it's a lot more of a traditional superhero story, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I could see probably where Waterbow would get. Does at any point in the story, does Taylor end up in the birdcage, and is it more like Arkham Asylum or more like Ashita no Joe? Hold on. Okay, if you don't understand, okay, so Arkham Asylum, it's Taylor would be a superhero and is sort of like trapped in Birdcage and is dealing with all these like crazy maniacs, or is it she gets sent there like in Ashita no Joe and then starts kicking ass and eventually leaves?
Well, you'll have to read it and find out.
Oh damn! I think she goes to the Birdcage. She definitely does. She gets sent there. Definitely does. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste. Or maybe it's not. You can just fucking have little wild tidbits if you want. It doesn't matter.
I was gonna say the good thing about Worm never getting an animated adaptation is that in reality it probably would get one that like looks like Invincible. But on the other hand, imagine Worm getting an anime that looks like a Dazaki anime or just is directed by Dazaki.
Oh,
Oh, but
uh,
like think about
hmm.
Onisama A, and then imagine the
Yeah.
dramatic visuals of Onisama A with Worm.
Uh, I mean, like when you said that, like I immediately started thinking about Aim for the Ace, and I was
Is
like,
that yeah,
that
that
like
too, that too.
watercolor like '60s style, I don't think would work. It's got like a like the psychedelic watercolor paintings that like really look gorgeous. I really like the original Aim for the Ace, but uh, that wouldn't work with Worm. But Onisama
The
E,
same yeah.
like Ashita no Joe 2, that sort of era.
Yeah.
Well, also Empty Ace 2 would also be in that. Yeah, I could see like one, but aim for the Ace 2. I could see that.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Is like the coolest thing about Dazaki is that well, I mean, many things are awesome about him, but he has all these like techniques that are very unlike other anime or like inspired, really, most of them. Like the harmonies and the methods of like drawing scenes is very like realistic and like detailed. And I could see so many moments of Worm being that, like the getting the juice all dropped on her. That would be like a harmony where the scene just turns into a painting for a second.
Or where like a arm master comes in and he's like drawn like a Long John Silver from Takajima.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a better idea. What if the Worm anime is made by 2015 A1 Pictures, And so it looks like every other show you have ever seen, and it stops 12 episodes in and then never continues.
Okay, imagine if it gets made by Dean and it actually gets finished. Dean are the
What
only
if
studio
it's-
that ever finished stuff.
What if made by B Train?
That could work.
It could, because it's ugly
Yeah.
studio, but they have an appeal. They made girls with guns stories a whole lot, and that was cool.
What if it's made by Go Hands and we have like 6 minutes of insect CGI and moving camera in every episode?
Oh
What
my
if-
gosh, imagine the fights with fucking Go Hands, millions things flying on the screen. Ah,
What if Goro Miyazaki read all of Worm and then condensed it down to a single movie about hating his dad? Wouldn't that be neat?
What if we talked about the next chapter?
sounds
That's a
good.
good
I
idea.
like that one.
That's a good idea.
No, I think I actually just got an answer to a possible answer to my question on why they would fight Lung, like why they would take the fight to Lung when Brian isn't shown to be reckless. And then I said how it could be about his power, how it has to build up. And it actually makes sense because Beach's power also has to build up over time. So they would actually be familiar with that. I just noticed that. Like, Beach can just crank her power out, but it's detrimental and it takes a lot of energy. So they are working that into their strategies as well. So while Lung was getting ready to attack them, and by the time while they are on the way there, they are already having Beach pump up the dogs. So they're actually getting an advantage. So when they get there, the dogs are already big and fully transformed, and Lung hasn't had the chance to work his power in. Yeah, I've seen this pointed out as a contradiction, and I don't think it actually is. I think it makes sense considering their powers.
Yeah, I do. It makes sense to me.
I'm not sure if there's anything in 3.7 that stands out to me. Because
Yeah, they're
it's
heading over to the bank. Is this the one where? Hold on. There's like I think there was like one. Yeah, there was one line, the second to last paragraph, that when I first read this like pissed me off, and then like there's like a reveal later. Yeah. So she's like, okay, so she's like taking over the bank, holding hostages, and, and it's as horrible as it was, it has been necessary. The worst case scenario was some regular schmuck in the bank pulling. No, fuck, shit, that was the wrong one. I stopped to let it sink in. I looked over the room. 40 or so people. I saw a full-grown man with tears rolling down his cheek. A teenager with freckles and brown curls were glaring at me with raw loathing in her eyes. Yeah, that one sentence like pissed me off in like when I first read it because it was like a joke. It seemed like a joke of like a full-grown man in this situation. Like there's like a full-grown man crying and like a teenage girl glaring at her. And when I'd first read that, I was like, this is, yeah, it sounds like a joke in a way that like it's like not serious. It's like it was like weird. It was like it was like antithetical to like building like an actual like it just doesn't like feel real in any way. And I was like, what are these two? What was the point of pointing these two out? It doesn't like fucking feel like anything's real. What is happening? And then eventually it's revealed that that teenage girl is actually a superhero anyway, and like one we've already met. And I was like, okay, cool. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But if it was just like a random teenage girl who's like more brave than like a fully grown man, and then it's just like if she's crying, then I sort of feel more like sympathetic than if the man's crying. it just kind of like feels weird. I know like demasculation is like something that happens quite a bit throughout the story. As we've like alluded to, like biting off fucking dicks and stuff. But you know, this one, I was like, yeah. When I said like earlier that like this Wild Bow doesn't run into the same problems as Kakaguri author does, this is what I sort of meant. Of like that was like something that he would write. Then it turns out it's good actually. So never mind. Never mind, it's good actually. That's my fucking note. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
sentence never stood out to me in that way.
That's fine. That's most sentences in one. It's not good actually.
This one is good, okay? Just these ones.
Yes.
We can't have you saying like your stance on every single stance, on every single sentence. So
Yeah,
that's why you
okay.
don't point it out every time. But actually, if you were to do that, it would be mostly good.
Regent was keeping watch a few feet away. That's a good sentence.
Hold on, I'm looking for one.
That password is easy. You see, I like that sentence because my passwords are easy. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on the fucking hostage? I think the use of the bug powers is cool. She kind of like knows what people are like doing by putting the bugs on them.
Yeah,
Cool.
good use of the bug powers. I understand what you were getting at with one character being more sympathetic to see cry than another and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I basically I was fine with this chapter. Um, yeah, I don't really know what to say. It's kind of like how you both felt about the beach one. I feel like I had a bit more to say about that one than I do about this one.
Yeah, what I had to say about the single spider dangling from her finger, I already said that earlier, and I don't think there's much to break down here. Like, I don't see much worth in pointing out that I like how she's using her power to threaten people because like that's pretty obvious. But yeah, her using her power as like Guru makes the room dark, and so she has the time to put bugs in everyone without them noticing, and that way she can keep control of everyone and know where everyone is. That part is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like using superpowers in cool strategic ways. It's fun, and I liked this. This was good. Yeah, no, there's a I think besides from yeah, I think like Brian, Taylor, and Bitch all have like powers that take a little while to build up. And you know, those get used. Those are made a point, and it happens. Kind of losing steam here, and we've got like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah, like 4 chapters left. But I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, it is going to be easier than it looks because all these chapters are just one event, like this one bank heist. So there isn't going to be much to say about each chapter individually.
Eventually, they fuck up, and a bunch of other superheroes show up. That's a thing that happens as well.
Yeah, on 3.8, like it's just Dan robbing the bank, a bitch being endlessly confrontational with Taylor until heroes appear, and Brian's like a little mad that Tattletale wasn't able to tell them exactly how many were going to show up. But she just says that, well, I was making a prediction. I can't actually guarantee that's how many. And as it turns out, I think it's like 6 of them that appear. We do get a description of a bunch of superheroes here who are Clock Blocker, Aegis, Vista, Kidwin.
Kidwin sucks.
Browbeat. I think those are, and I think it's those five, and then there's someone on the roof. But yeah, Kidwin is a weird ass name.
Yeah, and then Glory Girl and her sister show up later. But for now, it's Cockblock. Cockblocker.
Cock blocker.
Yeah. Not, yeah. And then there's like another.
It's Clock
Little
Striker.
Oh no. Yeah, he's the enemy to Clock Striker because one strikes and the other blocks.
It's Clockmaster, which is a super villain, I think.
I really like
Cockmaster.
Cock blocker. He's not cockmaster, he's cock blocker.
Yes. Clock blocker. Oh, yeah, they fucking described his superpower as like stopping time, but like you can't move the object, so it kind of like creates like little mini shields. He can use that. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That was cool. What a cool guy.
Oh, and I was forgetting Gallant. So there's Clock Blocker who stops time and he can use it to like create shields, and also that creates an issue where there can be very dangerous things around who are frozen in time and you don't want to run into them. There's Kidwin who's just listen to his name. It's Kidwin. You know what kind of person he is already.
I think there's like a One Punch Man character that like it basically is the same, where it's like a little kid with a bunch of gadgets.
Yeah.
And I just imagine that character in my head.
Yeah, he just builds shit. He's a tinker. He builds guns. There's Gallant, who kind of looks like a knight. I don't exactly remember what he does, except that he can mess with your emotions if you get hit by, I think it's lasers. There is Vista, who has a much more interesting power, where she like warps space, and that fucks up with all your senses. Like she can literally stretch a street farther than it should physically be capable of being. That makes her really fucking strong, but in a very, like, not in that direct way. This is where I don't think we even touched on this, but wasn't the Menton effect explained in these chapters?
It was, yeah. I think like the chapter before. No, I think it was when they were discussing like the bank heist itself. They were talking about the Manton effect.
Yeah, so the Menton effect is this idea that a lot of powers can only affect things that are outside the body. This is why, like, a lot of people, they will have a certain power that they can produce on the air, but they can't produce it inside either their own body or someone else's body. And this is like what keeps people from saying, like, oh, if this guy can control water, why does he just blow you up? Well, the mental effect does not allow that to happen from within organisms. And Vista similarly can only affect things that are outside, but her power can really mess with a battlefield.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't like that. Like, her power doesn't work as well as you would expect, because there's like 10 different people fighting. It's like too crowded for her power to really be effective. It feels as if the heroes weren't like they got here like in a short notice. They didn't have time to prepare.
Yeah, they just had somebody on hand that could make a getaway, difficult.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work well in a fight. There's Aegis, who I think has the most interesting power, which is that his biology is like insane. Like, his body would just allow him to do things that he shouldn't be capable of doing. And if he gets hurt, his biology just looks for workarounds. Like, there is a scene later on where he just like has this open wound, and he like puts like his whole hand within the wound, and he's just fine. So it's like, oh, what if super strength but it's scary? But I like the way it's described. Then we also
Yeah,
get
no, an interesting set
go
of
on, go
powers.
on.
Yeah, that was just nothing for it. You carry on.
I was going to say there's Browbeat. You know more about Browbeat than you
Browbeat.
should because you've listened to the tier list. You know this character
I
is a
know that.
fucking joke.
Well, the thing about the tier list video is it is like I listened to it like in 2 sittings, and it is like so many names, and like it is so much information that it all kind of blends in together. I know that these 2 characters should not be put next to each other, but I don't remember which ones. So it's
Good.
not like I'm completely spoiled. Um, it was more just sort of like a fun conversation to listen to. But I do remember a incredible fondness or a ironic fondness for Browbeat.
Do you remember the quotes I put on screen?
No,
Damn,
no, I don't remember that.
that's fine.
No, I think I was playing Shantae, the new Shantae game, when I was listening to it. I don't think I actually watched the video mostly.
Okay. So Browbeat, I think his power is like a totally explained it. It's like point blank telekinesis, which basically means that he's strong. He's like really powerful if he's close. Not really powerful, but he's powerful if he's close to you, and he's really fucking jacked. And there's 7 of them because once again we have someone on the top who we don't know who is. They theorize that it could be Shadow Stalker, who is a character that has been mentioned quite a few times already, but we do not see them here. So the fight just starts. They realize that running away is probably going to be really bad, so they should just start fighting, which once again seems to be the solution. Just bring the fight to them before they can really get in a position to fuck us over. And then the fight starts with this local group. This local group of heroes are called the wards, which are all like under 18 heroes, so they're like fighting people in the same age group that they are in. And this
So, like a
fight goes, it goes on.
yes, it does a lot of, but it's not boring. It's not like it's. There are some times where like certain writers and they're writing fight scenes where it does just go on for like descriptions that isn't particularly interesting. But I think Wildbow manages to have like so many different elements happening constantly that the fight's constantly evolving and spiraling, that it's interesting to read paragraph by paragraph, as opposed to just constant. He lift his leg up to smack the side of that person's head, and that going on for fucking hours.
Yeah, it's actually like kind of impressive that it's a fight between so many people and we don't know half of them, and it never feels lacking either way. But when it's like a fight between a small group of people, then it's much harder to make it last long because at some point it just becomes mechanics. Which there are a lot of mechanics and strategies here, despite this being the first like big fight we get actually.
Well, the beginning of this arc did spend a little bit of time explaining the basics of fighting to Taylor.
Yeah.
So if it had like no amount of actual real world fight mechanics in it, it would sort of seem like a waste. Like, why would you spend an entire chapter talking about this if you're just gonna like do Superman and Goku punching each other across cityscapes with laser beams?
Yeah, I think it's on this chapter that we get to see basically what happens when Taylor sends her swarm on someone that does have a power to defect it, which is that she makes bugs crawls into all of Clockblocker's orifices until he has to freeze himself in time to keep himself from dying. And it's like, yeah, this girl continues to believe that she is a hero, doesn't she?
Yeah, there's a bit of, as with the story it does to do, the superheroes' powers very quickly go into like body horror stuff. Yeah, like insects going inside of your body, and one of the girl, I always forget her name. I know her real name because it's your name, Amy, and she's the sister of Glory Girl. But you know these
Panacea.
like Panacea. Yeah, like penicillin.
Panacea. Panacea, as in like the mythical like a medicine.
Yeah, like penicillin. Fucking yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think I interrupted your thought
Worm is
there.
Yeah, worm's cool. Worm's cool. Fucking panacea. I'm gonna make you fat. That's somebody's fetish. I'll tell you what.
I mean, she could win a lot of money doing inflation fetish stuff.
Good. She could also turn people into harpy girls and do actual
Oh
good.
my gosh.
And she
I was
doesn't,
I was
so
so
she's
caught
bad.
off guard by that, the inflation comment. That's like that's totally different than what I expected. I thought that would be a joke about something that one of our friends of the show is into, which is a different kind of kink.
Like, well, because like, yeah, like somebody in the server being into inflation, I didn't know if anybody is. But I
Nah,
thought you were also
we've
alluding to
got
somebody in this call, and I know, well, I'm not it. And I'm
No,
pretty sure Komugi isn't it.
I'm
So the only one that
not
leads to
into
being into
inflation
inflation.
fetish. My fetishes are playing for all to see. Okay, I like BDSM. I'm sadistic. That's the stuff I like. I don't like inflation fetish. Okay, I don't like succubi. What else?
Yep.
Thigh high socks, cough girls,
Oh, classic. Yeah. Mm.
garter belts.
So
What do
you
you
like stocking and guard about? Do you like panty?
I was gonna make that joke.
Well, I think I only watched a couple episodes, but I did really like what I saw of it.
It is a good show.
It is. I like what necktie? No, not neckties. How do you call that specific kind of necklace that really adheres to your skin?
Choker?
Pole necklace?
Chokers, yes, chokers. Thank you.
Oh, right. A pole necklace is when someone comes on your neck, by the way.
I didn't know about that particular fetish.
Yeah. Well, it's just like a fucking move. You know.
But yeah, and then a lot
You can
of
do
Oh.
coming for guys is kind of like a fighting game. It really is. You have all these names and different fucking moves and up, down, left, right.
Are there
Pole
matchups?
necklace. There sure are. We have these things called bumpkins, where like if you get a blowjob while taking a shit, something happens. I don't know. It's called a bumpkin. And you know, it's like a fighting game. That's how I see it.
I see. Yeah, and then anything related to like BDSM, temperature play, fighting, like just all the whole package. Except like really extreme, like Shibari as well, but not really extreme like vacuum BDSM stuff, like or masks. That's a little too much to me.
I mean, eventually,
Those
you
are the
know,
main
the
ones.
lady doth protest too much.
Yeah.
It was nice to get to know you in this way, Amy, but you know, now I'm sort of back into being convinced you're into inflation a little bit, just a little bit.
Nah, not really.
What a funny fucking thing that exists.
Worm
So
3.10.
Tattletale, yeah, Tattletale
Yeah.
calls Glory Girl Glory Hole, and that was the greatest thing.
And it's really
the whole
fucking
series.
funny.
It's funny every time.
She even has like a reaction to it. Let me look it up.
I think it's in 311 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Glory
Oh,
Hole,
shit.
Glory Girl's face twitched. Hey, Tattletale, I called out. Like, she doesn't even say it, she just looks at her. But yeah, the girl with freckles, who was described in the other chapter, turns out to be Amy Dallon, Panacea, who we met on Interlude 2. the person on the roof who they thought might be Shadow Stalker, but Lisa says it isn't, but they don't know who it is this person. I mean, I was going to like go in a completely different subject, even though I was saying the phrase. I don't know how that happened, but it is Glorigor, Victoria Dallon. As it turns out, even though Taylor has her bugs on everyone, somehow Amy Dallon has managed to surprise her and try to knock her out. I think with a fire extinguisher it was, and so a fight starts inside the bank between Taylor, who can't really use her powers. She keeps getting migraines. Amy, who can't really damage her really because her skin, she can't touch Taylor's skin because her costume hides all of it. Then Glory Girl comes in, who is a strong physical fighter, and Tattletale, who was doing something in another room, comes in, and like I really like the use of Tattletale's power here, where she's just berating them and telling them, I can read your mind and I'm going to fucking prove it to you. And she just goes onto them, like drills into them about traumas.
Yeah, and they bring up the mountain effect of like, you can't actually read our minds. It's like, yeah, but there's always anomalies, right? And let me tell you all the things using, like psychic tricks, real life psychics, fucking getting enough information and being able to get it right. Yeah. Fucking, and then it's just like, I can read your mind actually.
Yeah.
And then they get scared and run away. And that's cool.
Tattletale makes this really good point about how, like, yeah, people want me to be wrong, but sometimes there are, as you said, anomalies. But she specifically says, like, well, the only suspect telepath out there is the Seamorg. And she says, and when a fucking Endbringer is our president, people get spooked. So we get an Endbringer named the Seamorg, which you might know. You might recognize that name from somewhere. But if you don't, it's fine.
Is that 10 or 11?
That's 11. But yeah, it's just interesting to see how, even though she can't actually read their minds, she can still get information. And so she's making it, and she makes it very convincing that she's reading their minds. And she threatens to tell them who Amy's father is, and says that would ruin their family. It's not really something that you can be proud of, like seeing how she drills into someone with her power, even though she is supposedly one of the people we're meant to like.
Oh, I found it. Isn't that a fucking, like, folklore creature? Yeah, it's like a fucking peak. Yeah.
It is.
Hold on, let me look it up. Yeah, this thing is a fucking, like a bird, peacock thing, wolf. Yeah. Oh, it's also a cafe in London. That's cool. Never been, but that cafe, I mean.
You should go there and start making worm references.
Oh, believe me, I make worm references everywhere I go. I got real brain worms for it. Oh, I could do the fucking soy jack thing, where I point at it and go, oh.
And send us a picture.
Send it to the worm chat. Oh.
You can do that.
And bring her.
Then you go into the bathroom. There's a glory hole there, so you take a picture doing the same thing, pointing at it like, oh, is that a worm reference?
Fucking spiders in the corner. There's a fucking fly in my soup. Oh, Taylor. Oh.
It's a thematic restaurant. They serve you bugs. Yeah, and in this chapter, it's also explained what Taylor was feeling. She kept getting these migraines, and she wasn't sure if it was Vista's power messing with her feelings because the bugs were now in a place that was being stretched, or if it was just her overworking her power. As it turns out, Amy she can control things biology, so she did something to the spiders that both prevented her from feeling where the spider was, so that's how she managed to go undercover and act without Taylor feeling it. And it was also sending her like this constant signal that made it so she can't control her power. And Tattletale then indicates to her where all the spiders that Amy was hiding in her clothes are, so Taylor gets rid of all of those and she can use her powers again. Just like a nice interaction that uses the powers of all four characters combined. Like one of them is being neutralized by the other, and you understand how, even though you don't know all the mechanics. And then there's a third one who is physically very powerful and can do something very dangerous, but she doesn't want to because she can't kill them. And also, the second character is held hostage, and then the fourth character, who has no physical ability at all, is the one actually controlling the conversation by using her powers to like blackmail them through suggestion.
Yeah, and it's interesting that this entire Taylor's whole mission was about gaining leverage through information to give to Arms Master Miss Militia, and so it's sort of like a dramatic use of irony. Maybe that's not the right phrase, but the final sentence of this here chapter is, "Oh honey, now who's being stupid? I've got the most powerful weapon of all." Tattletale purred, smiling wickedly. Information. And yeah, isn't that kind of thematically relevant? Isn't that like a thing?
It is, because also like Taylor wants to get information from them to send it to Arms Master, and it's like, how can you see this and still think that you are going to get any information from them? You have the information gatherer there.
Yeah, either whether or not, it doesn't matter what happens, whether Worm Taylor completely fucks it up, or if she actually does manage to succeed, then it's still like a good use of the old purposeful irony. Oh, this podcast here, it's like a ship that won't sink like the Titanic. Ooh. And it came out, this podcast comes out in the old 19-somethings. Never that happened. I'm too tired to
I have no idea what you are talking about.
I'm talking about the book where I learned what dramatic irony is. It takes place like a year before the Titanic happens, and so they're like, our family is as strong and unsinkable as the Titanic, and so it's oh, and see, I'm trying to like remember what the fuck the book is, but I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Too many books ago, and I'm smart. I read. I just forget everything because I'm drunk. Fucking stupid.
Drunk on literature.
Information, Glory Girl repeated. Tattletale 12 the keys around over and over fingers. Yeah, that's just fucking good page flip. I think being a part of being an artist in these ways is figuring out the good page flip.
Yeah.
When you're making a manga, comic, book, the good old page flip. You flip the page over and it flows well.
Yeah, when it comes to like manga or comic, there's also there are always two pages that you are seeing if you are reading it in a physical version. So not only do you have to figure out the good page flip, you also have to it happen at the correct moment, so the audience is not seeing the next page on the side. It has to be as they flip it. So you also have to take the page number into account. Yeah, so this conversation continues on 3.12. As I mentioned, Tattletale threatens to say who Amy's father was, and she does make it, she hints at it. She talks about the Brockton Bay Brigade, who's a group of heroes who all have, not all, but most of them have names related to light, which I think is pretty fucking funny. Lady Photon, Manpower, Brandish, Flashbang, Fleur, and Lightstar. Lady Photon is a terrible name. I don't like this name.
Yes.
It's dumb. And then she says, they wind up taking on a villain in his own home, and it's a pretty decent fight. They beat him, and because he was a real bastard, he got sent straight to the birdcage. So again, the birdcage, and someone who got sent straight into the birdcage. And she does say that, see, they found a little girl hiding in the closet. His little girl, a toddler. So this feels like it's almost enough information to, if you lived in this world, you could figure out who it was. Like, you just have to look at the Brockton Bay Brigade and the villains that they sent to the birdcage, and you can probably figure out who this person was. And she keeps calling Glory Girl Glory Hole in her dialogue multiple times.
In this chapter?
In this chapter, she keeps calling her Glory Hole.
Oh yeah, like 3 times. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the second she has like the complete the upper hand, it is just glory hole, glory hole.
I also enjoy how this like kind of continues the dynamic that we saw on their interlude, where like Victoria putting things on Amy, she making it her responsibility, and here Glory Girl calls out Tattletale's bluff, and Tattletale says, very principled, very self-involved too. That you think the secret and the consequences have to do with you and your overzealous nature. They don't. They have to do with her. And since we know that Tattletale hasn't seen them doing anything, the fact that she specifically refers to overzealous nature and the dynamic of one thing being pushed into another tells us that even though she's not actually a psychic, her power is giving her a lot of correct information. So remember the sword of Damocles? It's all like, oh, all it takes is for Tattletale to ask a question, or for Taylor to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and she will figure it out. Like at this point, I would be like, nah, there is no way. I'm either leaving now, or I'm giving up on the idea of telling up on these
So
people.
it does makes me think that like, did Arms Master at any point? Okay, so it's not actually known that this is what Tattletale's powers are. I'm pretty sure they established that in the wiki fucking thing.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, that's right.
What Taylor tells to Armsmaster is that somehow this she doesn't even know her name at that point. Somehow Tattletale knew that you were coming, and he's like, oh, so she gathers information somehow. That's all they
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was gonna ask, like, why does Arm Master not warn Taylor against this, and instead the two murderers thing? But it makes sense when I thought about it. Doesn't matter. That's how stories work. That's how thinking works. I do a whole lot of it, and I do it raw. I do it live. People get
Sometimes
upset.
I think.
And sometimes I am.
The worm. That's what this was building to.
Sorry,
I do a lot of thinking.
Oh,
I'm the brain.
no.
I was
No, it
coughing,
was
so I couldn't laugh.
yeah, no, it was a
No problem.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
It was a I think, therefore I am. Yeah.
Oh,
I sometimes
Sometimes
think,
I think.
therefore sometimes I am.
I thought it was like building to you being like the brain versus the worm. Okay, I see. I
No.
see.
This reminds me of a meme where it's what?
Sorry, no, it's just a funny sentence starter. This reminds me of a meme.
This reminds me of
I
a
know.
meme that goes,
From Amy especially.
I have a single brain cell and it moves around my head like a Windows screensaver, and then when it hits perfectly in the corner, I experience a tough. But he like drags out the teeth like a soft. Oh, someone's playing Wordle. Let's play Wordle.
Oh,
I had to do a bit. I'm sorry.
No, this is going to podcast. Fuck, I need no. Okay, let's play Wordle. This is going in.
God.
Amy opened it.
Damn. You see, you did that just as I was supposed to post a meme. So I thought I'd accidentally opened up the Wordle. But yeah, fucking. Which, yeah, fuck it, let's.
You can post it's the same word for everyone, correct? So don't say what you're typing.
Show's over, podcast's over. Fucking. Who cares?
No, we will finish after this, I promise. I got it. I completed Wordle.
Oh, thank goodness.
You wanna know what the word was?
No,
What was
I'm
it?
almost there. I'm almost there.
Oh,
okay.
shit,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
don't spoil Yakuman.
Sorry.
That sense of fulfillment will be the exact energy boost that we need to finish out the podcast strong.
Yes!
Help
Yes!
Yakuman. You got it? Did you get it?
That was so fucking loud.
Undid. It was the word.
You didn't win?
Undid. No, undid was the word. I fucking.
You got it.
Oh, no, so
Oh,
it wasn't the same word for us then.
No. Yeah.
Mine was no.
You see. Oh, that's cool. Fuck yes, fuck that's stupid. How do I end game? No, now I want to go to fucking bed.
Oh, okay. So,
I don't want to do that.
Worm 3.12. No one messes with my fucking family or whatever she says. They attack one another. Glory Girl. I mean, everyone attacks one another. Tattletale figures out a weakness to Glory Hole's power, which is essentially that she's not invincible. Like there are specific moments where you can target her, and so she just shoots her, and that's how they leave. And the rest of the chapter is then leaving.
Oh yeah, it's like a force field that shoots out, kind of like its accelerator from Sir Magical Index. It's not like he controls vectors, but it's like a wave. He sends out a wave, and then when it touches it, it like reverses the vector or changes the vector. Yeah, it's cool.
I see.
A similar thing.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe that. Kind of like echolocation, but not exactly.
No, just like a force field that comes out. Yeah. Though in a cartoon, it would be like a little Sonic thing, like a woo 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 woo.
Yeah, it would be animated like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
Tattletale refers to Worm Tailor as Bugs, like Bugs Bunny, and that's my favorite.
That is legitimately interesting, because it's like, Bugs, the whole thing of the shorts was that he always outsmarted everyone. He got his way out of all kinds of situations because he knew how to like manipulate their emotions. And in a way, Taylor is kind of like
say
a
that,
little
yeah.
girl in a big world and kind of sneaking her way through with cleverness. I mean, she's escaped a lot already.
Well, Bugs is specifically like people fuck with him, and then he's like such a smug asshole, and he like fucks with you back. And he manipulates people's emotions, but most of it's by like dressing up as a woman and like flirting with you, and then like smacking you in the head. It's cool.
Good summary.
Bugs
Good
Bunny's
summary.
Cool.
Yeah.
Taylor's not quite like that. In fact, she's kind of not. But she did in this one occasion did something good. Bugs Bunny does lose occasionally, and that's only when he is like he's the asshole. He's the one that makes the first punch. That's the one where he loses every time. I think that's an interesting thing about Bugs Bunny as a character.
It's true.
But yeah,
I mean, did anyone else have anything to say about 12?
Not really.
Sounds like Amy does.
They fight out of the bank. There was a fight going on outside. Everyone tried to keep each other occupied, and they just leave after they have enough money. Then Gru uses his power to like make several streets dark, so that when the darkness fades, they won't be able to tell who was there and who wasn't. And that's how they escape. And it does end with Tattletale and Taylor, as I mentioned before, walking one of Peach's dogs, and it says with two girls who just finished their shopping walking their dog. It's not two friends. It's not walking a dog. It's two girls walking their dog. This is gay. It's gay, and I like it. I understand why people read LGBT themes into here.
Arm in arm, we walked leisurely through the downtown. Like everyone else, we crane our heads over to follow the police cars and PRT vans. Yeah, this is gay. That's cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
I'm guessing, hopefully, maybe we'll see, because during the conversation with old Worm Taylor's dad, we see like Worm Taylor explain the way she sees them, kind of in half truths, and it wasn't like that nice towards Tattletale. I don't think. I don't remember. But I'm interested to see how Worm Taylor sees Tattletale from here on out.
Oh, you will see.
Hopefully, it's more gay.
And the gayer it gets, the more I'll enjoy it. And then I guess we can move on to the interlude, right?
Interlude. Where they go to the fucking Procretariat. Whatever it's called.
Protectorate.
Oh, proletariat? Yeah. I don't know why I called it proletariat. I got confused for a second. I was thinking of like, never mind, something totally different.
Yeah, no, it's the Protectorate, and it's a chapter focused on the heroes, the members of the ward, so they just fought, basically then saying that they got their shit wrecked. They start planning, like trying to understand what happened. Even like Browbeat's like, oh, I barely remember what happened. I was on the ground and then I got tased and I went out, which is pretty fucking funny considering that this character is a character of all characters. But this chapter is it's the first time in this story so far where it's written in third person selective, not limited, because it keeps changing perspectives.
Yeah, it's not like it doesn't follow a specific person like the first two interludes did.
Yeah, it follows like a person, and then like it actually starts in third person omniscient, describing like the building house the local parahuman response to division didn't really stand out, and then like there is no character to the scene, and it's like in third person omniscient, and then it goes into following ages, and then it keeps changing. No, I think it actually goes into following Director Pigot. This is our introduction to the director of the Protectorate the Protectorate facility of Procton Bay. And it continues with Pigot for a while and goes to either Amy or Gallant, and then it goes back to someone else. Like it keeps, without having a scene break, the character that is being followed changes. So this is not written in... I said third person selective, I'm wrong. This is like a mixture of something that starts in third person omniscient and then becomes... It never zones in one person and we get their thoughts. This is written in a completely different style from the rest of the story so far.
Do you think this is these like slight perspective changes are a mistake, or do you think they serve a very specific thematic purpose for the chapter?
There is some lines where like it's written as if a character who would be there is having an opinion. Like I found one line where it said like Clock Blocker said something. It was like, what's the word? Wish I could find it. It was like his hesitant, and then it said like he did this hesitantly, as if like the person describing it would like have a reason to know that Clock Blocker was being hesitant at that moment. It feels like maybe part of this was written from one character's perspective, but then changed. But then again, I don't know for sure.
Well, so like it starts in third person omniscient, and then it keeps moving between different perspectives. Where it says Gallant hesitantly raised his hand, I believe we're in Age's perspective at that point. But
that would be my assumption, yeah.
But since it like there are like narrative tricks that you can use to indicate a perspective shift. A very common one is like two characters are talking and one of them leaves the scene, and as they leave, you move into the character who stayed there. So it just flows into that, and you don't need a sequence break. Since this chapter does it frequently, it's easy to like not realize that there is a perspective. But I think that it was done just out of a necessity to show everything that he wanted to show. Like maybe he thought that having like 3 or 4 sequence breaks where you just skip a line would be too much, and so he just wrote it in a way where he could work everyone in. I don't think it does anything thematically. The only thing I could see someone saying is that it reinforces the idea that these are not the protagonists, but I don't really agree with that, because the fact that it is an interlude already indicates that, and then the fact that the other interludes are not written in this style. I think he just wrote it in the way that he could write to show all the information he wanted, which was describing the PRT, letting us know that there is a Director Pigot character, the drama between Gallant and Amy, where Gallant, because his power messes with emotions to some extent, can tell that Amy likes him, but he is Victoria's boyfriend. And also Amy's dilemma of she never wants to stop working because every hour that she isn't saving someone is an hour that she could be doing something better, and this basically like ruins her life, traps her in this situation where she doesn't want to be doing anything but healing people.
I mean,
And
like,
then sorry, just to conclude, and then after that it is okay, so the next thing that needs to happen is let's all talk about the strategy meeting and name Taylor's character. That's all he wanted to happen in the chapter, and just wrote it in a way that allowed him to give all of that. I don't think it's significantly sloppier than the previous interludes.
I think there might be something to say. You could maybe make the argument that it's like the members of the Protectorate as sort of, they're not as close to one another, so it's like it's presented a little bit more far away and then close together and then far away again. It's a little bit loose, maybe something along those lines. But also, Amy, the character, not the
Okay.
fucking person. You could, you don't need to worry about it that much, honestly. Like, I think if you went around and could heal everybody, then you've just put out like a lot of people out of a job, and that's not good. You got to think about these things, just focus on turning women into Harpy girls, and whoever wants to be what they want to be. I fucking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care about the kid with fucking his heart outside of his body. I'd care about fucking fucking uh giving women huge old titties and turning trans people into the things they want to be.
Hell
That'd
yeah.
be cool.
She
Yeah.
But
could
it's
easily do
beautiful.
that.
Yeah.
She could also make anime categories real, and yet she doesn't.
Man, fucking cat girls are like the most overrated ones.
Have you read Hyper Police?
No. Though
Get
it's,
back to me after you read Hyper Police. The
Oh,
anime
I'm
is
more
ugly,
talk-
but
I'm more talking about like Cat Planet cuties.
She,
Just
Amy could make.
oh yeah, where it's just a human with Neko ears. Yeah, that's boring. Okay, agreed. Yeah, agreed. That's boring.
Amy could make horse girls real. We could have
Sure
Uma
could.
Musume in real life if she wanted to.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that like the types of horse girls that should be made is disagreed upon. And that would cause a civil war, I think, between like what amount of horse and what amount of girl is acceptable. This has been a fetishes podcast of episode of Brainworm.
Yeah, just one last
you know.
detail that Amy does think about, like this one time she's so exhausted that she just wants to let this one kid die because it would reduce everyone's expectation of her. So the fear of that she could fuck up at some point will make it so people won't call on her so much, and that would allow her to rest. That's really terrifying. I really like that as a character point. But yeah, that's all. Were you going to continue talking about like how this was the fetish episode? Do you have an outro, or were you just spouting nonsense?
Just more nonsense. I was gonna sort of whatever's good. I don't even remember what happened in this episode anymore. I am so fucking far gone. Tuning next week or the week after. This is a bi-weekly show. Where we talk about fucking Arc 4. Supposedly.
Plus, there's editing.
And there's.
Thank you, as always. This was great.
Yeah.
We actually were really good. We did a ton of analysis, honestly. I remember that.
Yeah, no, we struck a good balance today of analysis and stupid nonsense. The perfect amount, I think.
Comment down below who do you think was the brain and who was the worm, and if there are two brains and if there are two worms. And since this was a fetish episode, make a joke about that to tell us that you got this far.
Yeah.
Like, how would a brain and a worm have sex,